We are live right now with the Kamen Rider Revice live discussion, obviously. So let's give this shit a second here. And already I said the S word. YouTube's not gonna like that because that's already, you know, a no term for these live streams. But whatever, I don't care. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. It says up for 40 seconds. There it is. Okay, we are up and running. We got confirmation from people in the chat. So, of course, I am your host, Zio Agito. I am here with two other TokuTubers today. First off, we have a nerd named Mark. If you can please introduce yourself.
I am a nerd named Mark, as was just said. I think we're allowed to say, like, the S word. I think that's allowed on YouTube.
I think it's just like F we got to wait like 5 minutes for.
Yeah, like it's kind of like the new PG-13. Like we could show one butt cheek, bare ass, but like we can't. We're allowed three F words a set, but it has to be in a time frame. It's like Disney PG.
Hey,
what? Oh shit!
I will get to the ass cheeks once we get to the Dom Brothers version of this. No. All right.
I bought a bottle of water for that.
And next up, we got Trash Toku here to defend some Revice. So Trash Toku, give us your what's your deal? What'd you do?
Well, I run a YouTube channel. I consistently review Ultraman Decker and Futopia. It's pretty good. If any of you actually watch Futopia,
yes, I've been watching Futopia every Sunday. I just have not been reviewing it.
I'm not reviewing it.
Like I reviewed it. Like I've done like the first episode. I actually down with clips from the show, like 10-second clips, and I got a copyright strike, and I'm like, nah, I'm not putting clips anymore.
Welcome to the strike club.
Yep. I got striked on a Revice video when I first started, and it was just because of Live, like the debut of Live. That was my first copyright strike, and I was like, "Damn you, Toei! Damn
my first
you,
strike.
Toei!"
I actually fought my first strike because they tried to copyright strike an image of something I bought, and I was like, "No, this isn't happening." And then but after that, they just strike me every time I do like a reaction every like couple months. Like every 90 days, I get a strike from them.
I'm like, nah, I got one strike.
Trash Token, we're starting to get some bad reverb from your mic, at least. Is that according to what the chat is saying? I'm hearing a little bit of static on my side.
Here, all right, let me check it.
Which is weird because I didn't hear anything before we went live, but the second we went live, that's when it all went down the drain.
I was gonna say it was crystal clear in the testing phase.
Yes. And then comes the internet.
Oh, fuck.
Yep. Well, while he's fixing that, so obviously we know why we're here. We're going to talk about Revice, the good, the bad, and everything else in between.
The good, the bad, and the Hikaru.
And the main character status. So I typed up like 3 pages worth of notes regarding what we're going to go over, but I'm going to Craig Ferguson this shit and just completely just say, nah, we're not going to do that. Because I did that for my own self-benefit of just like, I was one of those kids that before a test, I would just write out everything of the notes. That way it would be in my brain. And that's the entire reason why I did all that. Just so it can get stuck in my brain. So, okay. So first off, let's start with the beginning of the series. So obviously the biggest thing about Revice, it is an anniversary series only 3 years away from the last anniversary series. We keep getting anniversary after anniversary after anniversary. And they definitely nailed down the 50 almost everywhere. But then again, you could also argue that Saber was also 50th anniversary. So it's an anniversary after an anniversary. It's Dom Brothers after Zenkaiju. We just got a whole lot going on when it comes to all that. But overall, I would say that it started off pretty well. So the initial viewing, when it was first starting to air, I gotta say I was definitely enjoying it up to a certain point. But what were your first impressions of the series just starting off the heels of Saber?
Go
ahead.
I hate. You want to start, Mark? Or you want me to start?
You go ahead. You go right on ahead.
I hated Saber. Saber was a show that I hated every fiery beats in my heart. So like I was like so much waiting for something different. And I remember first time watching kind of the Gino mixes. Oh, that's similar to stuff that Ocean does. Kind of paying homage to like other heroes, but still doing its own thing. So I was like super excited for it. And I really kind of like we don't just talk about kind of beginning. I really like was looking forward to this to Revice, to be completely honest. I really enjoyed the first part, really like a lot. But yeah,
All right.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
We
better?
were just letting you talk.
I was letting you talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was letting you get the saber slander out of your system.
No. There is going to be a lot more slander for me. Like, don't let me talk about Saber that long because I can go on like an hour rant about how much Toma is a shit character. You don't want you don't want
Look, look, chat. Trash Toku just have trash mic. Like you get what you pay for, and sometimes when you scrape the bottom of the barrel, you get trash quality mic. So
Art is imitating
Yeah,
real life right now.
I am and I am what I'm advertised. I'm sorry, guys. Like,
see, this is what
I'm
this
a
is what you
trash
get for
picker.
only reviewing Ultraman and Futo PI. That's it.
Okay, let's. Okay, we can't
I-
drag
I'm-
Ultraman. Come on now. As the biggest
I'm a-
Ultraman fan, let's
I'm a
see.
pedantic piece
My
of
wallet
shit.
doesn't
Like,
show it though.
I'm a pedantic piece of shit. I could have just, review Revice like 40 episodes in. Like, I needed to review it from the first episode. I can't just.
Look. I when I started, I did the first 5 episodes as one review, even though that thing was like 20, 30-minute long. And then I was like, let me just stick to consistency. Every episode would make it easier. Anyway, back to first impressions. Mark, what was your first impressions when it came to Revice?
Obviously, we got to talk about the elephant room. The Saber special chapter was my first introduction to Revice with all the fart jokes, and I was worried, and I was very glad there was no farts. That's literally, I was relieved because I was like, if there's any farts in episode 1, I'm not gonna deal with it. I will say, from an Ultraman standpoint, I already got the RB vibes, so I was already like, okay, the two brothers are eventually gonna like be at odds end right in the beginning because like there's a lot of parallels to that. That's my favorite Ultraman season, so I actually liked the beginning of it. I thought it started off really strong. We got good character introductions, and it wasn't too meddled, but like the beginning of it with the whole Gracias dead mans and some of that, I was like, they aren't going to last long. This is not this is not the villains for the full season at all, because they were kind of obnoxious in the beginning.
Well, the thing is, I actually like the approach to having the villains be substantially different, but then the need for a military organization was the part that I found a little odd to combat, 3 people that have a nightclub. So that was...
It made sense. But again, it kind of made sense with like Akaishi being pretty much the head of the entire like Deadman and Phoenix. So it's pretty much was kind of like a cover up, if you really think about it.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, we get to it like after 20 or something episodes when they actually get the infiltration on there. But the entire thing was, okay, so we start off with of course Daiji's whole enlisting of Phoenix and all that stuff, and then the dead men go ahead and attack the entire ceremony. Hiromi catches his first L by trying to transform into Revice and then just messing it all up. Then Daiji catches his first L when he just bitches out trying to transform into Revice himself, leaving Iki to be like the only one, like in a bitter twist of like irony, but at the same time you now see that it was technically predestined in the afterthought of everything. It's like, okay, cool, so we have all that, but then from there we start building that whole jealousy arc of Daiji, that which 5 episodes in we already get introduced to our second writer, and that's really where they start escalating the ball really well, because that first Kagero evil arc was great.
Oh, so good. best suit and one of the best suits at the whole season. Probably
he
one
just
of my
came out
favorites,
swinging. He
Rayla.
just came out the gate swimming as well, and framing Hiromi for shit that he didn't do and things like that.
Yeah, it was. But then also, like you said, it's fate that he was gonna get the driver and everything. Because like, what would happen if Daiji did use it? Would Kagero just come out of him? Like, because now
Yeah,
I
versus
always
the
wondered
two-side
that.
driver type dynamic that we
Yeah.
ended up getting from it all.
Yeah, but if you didn't bitch out, like, what would happen?
He would just get like the Vice armor. Just it's like the actor just with the armor on.
It's just Bale's body with Daiji's head, Kagero's head showing, and that's it.
That would be funny. I would actually.
What do I like about the idea of Kamen Rider what ifs? Well, what ifs could be a lot of things, considering some of these shows could have actually been good.
What if?
What if Kaim was good? What if Zio didn't mess up everything?
Wait.
Not you, Zio. The show Zio.
Wait, you hate Guy?
This man fell for the bait. Fell for the
Yeah,
bait.
he did.
no.
Everyone
Got
falls
him.
for it.
Got him.
Oh,
Everybody
no.
always falls for that shit. Everything.
Let me hit
no.
my little best Steam Deck for the FBI like clip to play, the little meme video.
Yeah, you open up.
It's like we got him. It's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
Fell for it.
What?
No,
If
so-
Saber was good?
No,
What
so
if
so
Saber
back
was
to
good,
the
guy?
I don't fall
Kagero.
for bait. Sorry.
Yeah, Kagero Daiji arc, which was good.
Yeah.
The thing is, unlike future plot lines that we ended up getting, this one lasted more than 2 episodes. We got it playing out for like a good third of the series. Up until, we actually got live, I want to say like
Which
4 or
worked
5 episodes
perfect.
afterwards. I mean, it was good because especially since Kagero ended up joining the Deadmen for a time being, we got to start seeing how crazy George Karizaki was, because he was the one trying to egg everyone on to try out the different drivers. We got
That
Hiromi
was my
getting the
favorite.
Demon's driver and falling for the bait and trying to take on Kagero himself. So we got a lot of those moments in the very beginning. But then the thing is, right after we got live, we start focusing on Sakura. But the thing is,
Yeah.
the Sakura arc was 2 episodes, but it was great because the seeds were being planted early on of Sakura becoming a writer anyway. So it didn't feel like an ass pull, it felt like something that they had already planned. So that all still worked for me. So when it came to like Sakura's introduction now into becoming a Kamen Rider, how did that all feel?
Oh, that actually kind of like I was kind of interested specifically because of the way that other female writers were introduced, like Saber and Zero One, and I remember just kind of like like interested in like how they're going to do how like her character is going to be developed, specifically with her kind of thinking, not really saying a lot. That's kind of for me was weirdly interesting. I don't know why, and like where she got the delivery driver, and how much it was weirdly close to what Revice driver. To really think about it, wasn't it like supposed to be a prototype? Like
Yeah,
Revice
so
driver,
so
like, at
the
beginning?
Libero driver was designed by George when he was younger, and he scrapped the design, and that's of course what started to the whole mystery of the weekend in itself, which was great as well because we were starting to get another team being introduced, and I think it was like episode, I think it was either episode 7 or 8, where it was when the family went out to the retreat. That's when the Ushijimas were there as well.
Yeah.
That's when Phoenix were all there. That's when the Deadmans were all there in disguise. And we had like this whole multi-juggled plot going on, which was honestly one of the first really good episodes of Revice, where I was just like, you're planting so many seeds. I'm excited for what's going on. I'm excited to see the direction this is going to go. Also, what the hell are the Ushijimas doing here? Like, why are they being all secretive? That ended up leading into the whole Genu arc.
And if you look at the whole season as a whole, George being obsessed and curious about the dad, Genta right then and there at the hot springs on the vacation also played. It's like they did so much in these first like dozen episodes with Sakura becoming a writer. They planted so many seeds and they balanced everything right, but then it starts to fall apart where like Daiji's at the wayside while everyone else has their story. Like they stopped
Yep.
balancing it right. But up until Sakura was like, okay, they're not isolated in their own arcs away from each other. They're still like, you know, even if it's a throwaway sentence or a throwaway line, at least they're keeping it in your brain. Hey, there's still something going on with Sakura. Oh, look, they're gonna go to the hot springs. Why is everyone here all of a sudden? This is curious. And then George is like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to your dad. It's like, that's weird. What's going on there? And that's when we see his scar, and then we question, like, where the hell's this? Why does he have a scar there? It's like they set up so much stuff in the first dozen episodes that it's a pain a lot of stuff wasn't addressed later on.
No, because right after that entire arc is when we start getting the whole commanders and generals of the Deadmen's going into phase 2, and that's when we start getting those episodes that start getting too much going on in one episode. Like in one episode, we were juggling like Sakura, Hana, as well as the I forget what Deadman he was, but he was the old guy that came to her school that the girls in her class were like, "Oh, are you dating this old guy?" Then we had Hiromi with Wakabayashi finding out that he was the chameleon Deadman's. That was still top 10 like surprise moment.
I didn't get that caught me off guard.
Let's talk about that Grassas Deadman that you did.
Which one?
The Grassas Deadman.
Yes.
Like,
when he did that, it was maximum troll face. It was maximum troll face. I would have never expected that an actor that always looked like he did serious roles would pull out something that wacky and still make it seem like it was scary, because you saw that entire 180 when it comes to demeanor, attitude, and all that. So it was great. It was great.
Yeah. But that was worth the strike I got on my channel to react from that without blocking it out. That was worth the strike.
You know what wasn't great, though? How they treated the chameleon Deadman afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Like, I really
he had the best potential out of all the new Deadmen that they introduced, and he was one of the ones that got killed off the bitchiest way ever. Like, they started setting up a whole plot point. It's like, why don't you ever show your face? Well, I don't like my face.
Yeah.
Okay?
He was a nobody. Like, the entire thing of, like, why specifically he went through the commander. I don't remember what he was. But we didn't know anything about him in the end. Like, oh.
Yeah, no. And when they finally showed his face, I was like, why does this look like the Japanese Impossible meme guy? Then I looked it up, and it was the same guy. And I was like...
He was.
I feel like they did that on purpose to troll all of us, honestly.
And that's such an old meme to the point that I was like surprised that they even pulled that off, to the point that people that have been around the internet long enough were just like, okay, recognize that. I recognize that. And then they just killed him off. Like, he had the chance. Well, he impersonated Yukimi, only to get found out right away. It was dumb. Sorry, Trash. What's going on with your mic?
Yeah, I get it. It's like that entire like. What? You can hear me? What the fuck is going on?
It got a little scratchy.
Can you get closer to your mic?
I am like basically deep throating it right now.
That's a different live stream.
See, I thought you were chocolate raining it and moving away from the mic to breathe.
Yeah.
No. I can insert it deeper if you want to.
Oh yeah. Just guac that thing. Just straight up like. Oh. So.
How many minutes are we in and it's going off the rails?
We're 19 minutes in. Damn, time is flying already.
I know.
Okay.
I keep to a script.
No, so the entire thing, after they introduce all these generals and then we start getting the buildup of these characters, is Ortega going off the deep end, which was probably one of the best villain moments ever when he revealed, no, I'm the one that's been pulling the strings the whole time. We gathered up all these phase 2s, but guess what, Aguilera? You're the one that's gonna be mostly sacrificed. You're gonna be the big one being sacrificed to Gifu, and we're running this whole train. We're just doing it.
That was... also, before we dive into that, up until then, we had a nice introduction to all the different base 10 genome forms for Revice, and I think those were handled really well from an anniversary standpoint for the design of the suits. I
Yeah,
thought that was
it
great because they got
was.
most of the anniversary stuff out of the way.
Except for Jackal.
We saw, but we don't talk about Jackal. I mean, the Revice Jackal was fine, but the live and the evil version of Jackal was trash.
Nah, the evil version of Jackal is the good one.
Not evil.
The rest
the
of
live
them are
one was
trash.
the one with it.
Yeah, the live one,
I
no.
like
The
both.
off color and then
Yeah.
the Revice one with the skateboard, nah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot evil was
Come
the
on,
one.
skateboards are cool, all right? It's the 90s.
Not in my Kamen Rider. Not in my Kamen Rider.
Motorcycles are nothing at all for forms of transportation.
Well, like, what's the last time that, like, if like one of the new riders actually rode their bikes?
Listen, that was a funny scene when freaking Icky dropped the Vice stamp into his freaking bike and was like super.
A jump to the sky turns to a rider kick.
And kind of like a nod,
Just
like
got a
we can't
sub.
do motorcycles, but here's a bicycle.
Okay, I would never get.
Thanks for the sub, Rafael Navarro. Also, Toku Guy, you forget that it's an anniversary series with that many 50s? With that many 50s. Come on. That's a lot of
Get the
50s.
bell right there, literally 50. 50.
Yeah, did they even like do a little 50 hand signature thing when they all transform? That's great, right? 50.
All right,
Remember
so
that?
so
When
now
it was
to
50?
Ortega,
That's
like,
like
going off the deep end. Because,
Hmm.
honestly, he provided some of the
Mastermind
best
or
moments
Ortega.
in the early part of the show, especially when he started going Gifu stamp crazy. Okay, so getting ahead of ourselves, they obviously end up finding the dead man base. It turned out being a giant jellyfish looking thing. That's when we get so many genomes being used out. And then from there,
wasn't like a big sombrero alien thing.
Yeah, but it looks like a jellyfish to me. It looks like one of those like carnival rides, like the UFOs, the gravitrons. That's what it looked like to me, like one of those. But yeah, they take that down, and then Phoenix ends up with the Gifu coffin, but then Ortega ends up with the Gifu stamp. And hey, who knew that the Gifu stamp would be way more effective than just having the coffin just be decoration in the background? Because he goes stamping crazy. Oh, so Mersey, I can't say your name right, Mersey, with the $2 says, keep up the great work, Geet's hype is real. My fucking money! Oh, someone just, there it is, that's the fucking money response. There it is.
Yeah. The Geets hype is real. I've been trying to keep Geets out of my head so I can focus on.
That's what I'm doing. Like my Discord, it keeps getting too much with the Geets hype, and I'm like, need to tone it down. The show hasn't even aired yet. Let me just chill. I'll judge it once it comes out. So
Yeah.
All right.
Like, I'm gonna...
So how'd you guys feel about Ortega as now the centralized villain at this point in time in the show? So Mark, you can start.
I would have been okay if he was a centralized villain for the rest of the show. For the whole thing. I think everything leading up until then was good. Great character. And I mean, it might be jumping ahead slightly when, Aguilera got her back, flashbacks, and even Tamaki and this and that. I wanted more backstory to Ortega. I wanted a flashback of him orchestrating all of this. How did he swoop in and just become the mastermind? And then when Akaishi finally showed up and he was talking with him, I'm like, oh, there's some manipulation going in there. I need more Ortega. Like, he was the mysteriousness around him in the intrigue, but also him just being a genuine, straightforward villain. Like, he told you what he wanted. It wasn't like, I wonder what he's after. It's like, you know what he's after. That's OG comic book villain right there. Like a Dr. Doom.
I just didn't like how they portrayed it in the show, because they were like, I'm smart. I've always been smart. I was the smartest person that ever has been smart. So
yeah,
I'm just smart. That was the backstory they threw in there, and I was like, okay. And you thought you were gonna take advantage of this crusty old man and this coffin too? Wow. You thought.
But it did give us one of the best scenes, the coffin slap.
Oh.
Which I'll never forget. I have that video clip actually just saved on my computer. I'm never going to forget it.
All right. Trash Toku, what'd you think about Ortega when he became the centralized villain for a time.
I tell the truth, I'm very much close to what Mark think, but I'm just like in my opinion, like not knowing anything about Ortega was actually cooler, like kind of keeping the air of mystery because like we never actually found out what his real name was. Like we don't know like really what his full motivations to like enter the dead man, like why specifically Akaishi picked him. The mysteriousness about him was like one of the things that I really fucking liked about Ortega. And also, he's a pretty damn like attractive dude to be completely honest. So that kind of like it's a big thumbs up to me.
One guy, you're right. We do need an Ortega
But let's
v
not
Cinema.
talk about like his Automato cut.
No, so the thing is, it's like they used him as a good point to develop the rest of the Deadmans, to develop like Tamaki's and Hana's, well, back when they were Julio and Aguilera's, their storyline by using that ultimate betrayal, especially with Tamaki, because that 2-episode arc with just his friend, like, that was very effective to developing and just giving us a backstory on Julio that was just top tier, like emotional, like feelings. Too bad they walked back all that character development afterwards. But, you know, that's where I was mad. Like, they developed him so much up to that point, only to throw him by the wayside afterwards. They did my boy Tamaki wrong.
Those 2 episodes were peak backstory origin for someone, like especially like all of us nerds, most of us can remember that when we're kids playing TCG at launch, making friends via a TCG game. So I was like, okay, I see what you guys are doing right now in this production right now, Toei. Where's this gonna go? Then he tore up the event card. I'm like, oh, you bastards. I was like,
Seto Kaiba, just straight up.
I was like, that's his villain origin story right there.
We live in a society, guys. We live in a society.
We live in a society.
Yeah.
But hey, it was good. And then, you know, afterwards, once Ortega became Demons, I was like, Demons feels right at home with this guy. Like, probably the best juicer for it. Like, it just felt proper for him to have it.
Yeah,
Demons should have been a villain, Kamen Rider.
Yeah,
it should have.
And
I mean, retroactively looking at it, they apparently said that George was supposed to be the first user of Demons, but we got Hiromi instead.
Yeah.
It never made sense for me.
Imagine if we had Evil and Demons teaming up as like a duo evil Kamen Rider. Go around just...
See, that's a what-if scenario in itself. That right there is a what-if. Yeah. But yeah, you were saying trash before we cut you off.
Yeah, we would have got more Ortega as Demons, so I mean, that's always good.
Fuck, like my entire train of thought kind of left. But tell you the truth, yeah, Ortega as Demons.
It's... Oh no! He's acting like the halfway point of the show.
Ortega is like...
Okay, can you repeat what you said? It kind of like froze for a second. Oh my god! He really is the halfway point of this show.
No. I said like I'm like...
I got like 3 likes and then nothing.
I said that how much I love Hiromi, but like Ortega as Demon was a lot fucking better. I legitimately did enjoy him as Demons, and I think that he should have been slightly more in the season. Like I think they could have maybe pushed him more and more like towards the end. I don't know, just like Ortega was legitimately one of like overall the best villains in Revice.
He was, because then we just got like discount, like, you know, we got Akaishi the Groomer right afterwards. And I mean, so look, the way that we got through Ortega, because look, they did some good things, then they did some bad things, while Ortega was still a bad guy. And I'm gonna say this now, but I think the show went legitimately downhill the second we got introduced to Kamen Rider Vail. Because part of the reason is they didn't know where they were going afterwards. Like, afterwards, they had to...
Interesting, because he was like...
No, because it retroactively had to explain certain things. But then, once again, you know, Vail being responsible for the happy spot having a fire when Iki was a kid. That's where we start getting Vice's backstory, and it's like, wait, but none of this lines up with how Vice was in the beginning of the show, in the beginning of the series. Why would you go from making a contract with this kid to protect the family to the first thing he does when he gets summoned in episode 1 is try to eat Yukimi? Like, it doesn't make sense right after that portion happens. Not only that, but then we get the grand debut of Kamen Rider Vail, probably like top 10 moment, easily top 5 moment in the show was the Henshin just destroying the hell out of that Giftarian in front of everybody, just making it seem like a cakewalk, and then disappearing off the face of the earth for, you know, 4 or 5 episodes because we got a V cinema.
It was 10 episodes exactly, because I called it, because when Revice Legacy Bail started, it was when Genta left the show, and I was like, oh, if it's 5 episodes and the Bail episodes weren't every week, they were every other week, and I was like, watch, he's going to show up the week after the last episode of Bail, and he did. So for 10 episodes, Genta and Bail weren't on there at all. They mentioned it. Oh, where's Dad? Oh, Weekend has him at a safe location. And that was like the one sentence. They would say it like almost every other episode. Where is he? Because they kept him off TV while they gave his backstory.
Johns really wants me to eat this chip. You know what? I'm going to eat it right now. So for those of you that have zero idea, I have one of the Pocky's one chip challenges on me. And because I just went ahead and slandered Kamen Rider Vail a little bit, just saying that the show got progressively worse after he showed up. Then again, that's not really a hot take. That's more like he's so good that everybody else retroactively sucked.
The hot take would have been Hikaru would have been a better Bail.
Oh my God, he was over Vail. Man, look at this nice little packaging we got here.
Is that the new one?
Yeah, this is the new one. It's apparently blue.
Oh.
So,
Because, you know, blue...
this is where the stream starts getting wacky.
So...
It's already, like, in half. Man, it's
I'm
in
too old to do
pieces.
that,
So, you know what?
I need water watching you eat that. Ooh.
Doesn't sound
It's the
good,
powder.
doesn't sound
It's
good.
the powder.
The P Bandai gift stamp is real. Yes, it is, and I pre-ordered it.
It is real.
Oh, yeah,
It
now
is
you
so
can set
real.
your best
And
friend.
now this is going to be me for the rest of the
It's
stream.
great, isn't it?
It's not bad. The
You're
thing
getting
is,
deep announcer
the
movie voice
heat-
going on.
the heat
The
hits
world.
right away.
My favorite was
But
blue.
then afterwards, it's not bad. I think it's just like the instant
original
heat.
one.
Like the heat hits instantly.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's a
it
shot
did make
pack,
my tongue
basically.
blue.
Oh my God! What the?
Yeah, that's what it said. It said that
Damn,
it will
that's
turn
not-
your tongue blue.
You know how like you get the stuff like the lollipop stuff and it turns it blue and it's like slightly blue.
That was,
is,
like, instant
neon,
blue.
Like, oh my God! I'm gonna have to order some.
Just gotta. That's what happens when you
Yes,
eat out
Dragastar. Zio
Sonoe
is gonna
as
need some
opposed to
Sononi.
Sononi.
Wait, no, he needs something with milk.
I do have milk. Animating Andy for the 100 euros. Whoa. Says, you became my go-to tokutuber after the second death of Japanime. Love the skits you do. Keep up the good work. Not certain if you still want the Juga driver. Otherwise, you can invest this money and maybe an office water cooler for that Sononi swimsuit scene. Maybe. Damn. Yes, obviously still want that money. That Juga driver. Oh man, now it's starting to hit the back of my throat. That shit's coating my tongue.
He came with the Brav box.
I read the rest of the message and I'm like trying not to die laughing for that.
A Turbo Ryuki striking again, turning your tongue blue. Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
Yes, Zio should invest this money into an office water cooler for that Sononi swimsuit scene.
Once
100%.
it happens. Once it happens.
Wait,
Oh my
what?
Okay, I'm gonna need the milk now. I'm definitely gonna need the milk now.
You're gonna get one of those big water coolers with the hot or the cold water. Just
Okay, all right. Y'all didn't expect that shit, did
I don't
you?
know how you could drink. I don't know how you could drink milk like that, and the music just made it better.
It's still hidden. It's still. Oh my god.
It's not.
It's just the back of the throat. That's what he said. Oh my god.
This is why we all have stream decks, because doing soundboards is so much fun.
It is. It is. Oh, I'm All right, so Holy Live, the episode right after Vail, we get that whole Crow Vice Stamp storyline that just feels kind of like an ass pull in a sense. Like, just choose between whoever wins gets to be top dog, and that's it. Y'all give your opinions. I'm going to be over here crying real fast.
It gave me vibes of D-Sast and... Yeah. It gave me the vibes of D-Sast and Kenzan from Saber, except it wasn't dragged out for 25 episodes of them just eating ramen with pickled ginger. I will say, great fight scene, good music. I will address the cop-out of Kagura returning later on in this discussion, but I just wish there was more interaction between the two to make the tension of them ultimately fighting a little bit more impactful.
Yeah, like I'm kind of agreeing with you. Like I wish there was more kind of like them actually kind of flip flopping a lot more to like lead up to, okay, now you need to choose, like, okay, now we need to choose who is going to be kind of main like use of two-side drive pretty much. Like who's going to, if it's going to be like the Holy Life step or it's going to be the cross step. I really felt that like this specific, like the fighting was great. Like I knew that Kagura was going to return. Like that was super obvious. So like every all the weight of like, oh, Kagura is dead forever. Like and I'm like, oh no, they're totally going to bring him back.
But that was the beginning of the end for Daiji, though. That literally was the beginning of the end for him.
Oh,
Daiji didn't have any good stuff for quite some time. Like the only time was like anytime Akaishi was like petting him and he looked at a mirror, you could be like, oh, Kagura's not looking back. But I'm like, they keep hinting. Like, I will give Revice credit. They gave little nods, like him looking at the mirror every once in a while. He passed by one as a, oh, Kagura's not there.
Yep.
I could be reading into it. Maybe it's just a happy accident. I don't know if they're that skilled to actually write it like that. But
I think there were things like they could be kind of like, oh, maybe he's there, maybe he's not, because like they're pulling like that stuff with, let's say, Vice. He pretty much, but no, I think that's for later discussion, because like now I'm talking about the finale. I think it's too early to talk about that. Or the entirety of him looking at the mirror is like, oh, it's totally like, oh, he's there probably, and he's just hidden. He's just waiting to let out. He's waiting to Daiji to actually ask for his help, pretty much.
And that becomes a very weak ass pull in general. But yeah, he kind of one shots Ortega right away, right afterwards, and that leads to the whole jacked Revice arc with the rolling Vice stamp, which is what's up next. Which man, how many heart to hearts are these guys gonna have?
I would like to point out, too many.
A lot.
But I will say, because I kept track, by this point in the show, there was only 2 farts from Vice. So I'm still, at this point in the show, I was still happy and not put off by the show. Because I was waiting every week. I was like, no farts. I like this. Because I was so scared that at some point we're going to get the humor that I hated.
This chip was a mistake. Mark, you're in charge. I'm going to go throw up.
Okay. So that chip was a mistake. It's gonna be blue too. The throw up's gonna be blue. Like, but no. So let's discuss the Vice stamp, the rolling Vice stamp. Jack Revice, for me personally, one of my favorite suits this whole entire season.
Hey, it gave us kind of the best suit of the entire season with Crimson Veil, guys. Come on.
I know, a
Where's the
nice
Crimson Veil?
repaint with more spice. Well, we'll get the
Where,
Crimson Veil at some point.
where is the Crimson Veil? Hey,
It,
where's the Crimson Veil? Friends
right,
over
Crazy
here in the
Orb.
chat.
It's Rip to Zio Agito, the one chip. Like, honestly, it's the milk. He drank the milk too fast. You don't drink the milk that fast. I am kind of a pseudo amateur chili beast. I like my Carolina Reapers, Ghost chili. Like, I eat a lot of spicy food. The mistake is you don't drink the milk that fast. You got to sip on it. And
Yeah. Don't chug it.
yeah, cool, dude. I don't know.
Don't chug it.
Drago,
Oh,
yes. Crimson
oh,
Veil, better than Jack Revice, but both were so good, and it showed an element of Vice where you always thought was Vice ever going to turn on Icky, and the fact that he was pretending to, and he was actually pretending, like protecting Icky, because one thing we haven't mentioned up until now is the dynamic and evolution of Icky and Vice's relationship. From Icky not trusting him, making him do that new contract with him when he wouldn't henshin, was fighting all the Gift Juniors, and to now, like it showed the dynamic of the trust they had for each other, and that Vice was protecting Icky from George experimenting on him and everything else.
yeah. Tell the truth.
Oh,
Like the entire first episode, him kind of advice trying to be like Yukimi. It was kind of weird. How much it was very much a first episode thing. And they
oh,
really
yeah.
like doing that.
It's just
And
as
then,
words the second time.
Animated Andy has a great point. There's a stupid debate whether Crimson Veil is a writer or not. By the way, not a writer.
No.
Just like Shadow Moon,
Is now a writer.
Crimson Veil, and Jack Revice are not writers.
Yes, yes, yes. I
They're-
agree. Like I never got the entire thing of making like the Shadow Moon like become a writer in Black Sun. Like
I'm just not
it's
acknowledging
kind of weird. It's so weird. Like why they did that? Like because he looks like a writer. That's it. Just like he looks
No,
like a
they want
writer.
to. They want to sell the premium Bandai driver for him, because I can tell you right now, this is not a common rider.
Yeah,
That's right.
I've watched.
He is
People,
not
one of the only kind of like
a
short
common
show.
writer.
No, and I don't know if you guys can tell. There's another one right. Which way? Right there's another Shadow Moon. Not a common rider, just like Crimson Veil isn't. And Jack Revice, because it is Vice, I wouldn't really consider him a writer either.
What Vice?
Yeah, for the Jack Revice, I don't know if I would count it as a writer fully.
No.
I mean,
You can
it's the
say just
fusion
an
writer
outfit for
essentially.
Vice.
That's why he's the first actual
Yeah.
Revice.
It's
And
way
also,
more kind of like Vice than like a Ray
So-
Vice.
so Zia, what you missed during your regret, your non-redemption arc of the one chip challenge, I brought up how up until now with the Jack Revice, we actually got to see the evolution of Icky and Vice's relationship, from Icky not trusting him, forcing him to make a contract with him when he was fighting the Gift Juniors earlier in the season, to now Vice protecting Icky from George experimenting on him and any more other gimmicks being tested out on.
But the weird part about that is, back when we had the
I think that
volcanic
was
Rex
also a
arc,
major thing of the show that we haven't really touched on. It is the evolution of their
the whole volcanic Rex arc, we had a heart-to-heart moment then as well, where they had already technically solved that portion about themselves, but then they walked it back and did it again, and then yeah, it was weird. Okay.
Yeah. I almost feel like some of the stuff was out of order.
Probably in the way
Yeah.
that they were planning things out, because
Yeah.
When,
Okay.
Uh,
Glad that wasn't just me that saw that happening.
Like when it's fine because oh wait.
No, what? Am I cutting out for folks? Because for me, it's like the opposite. What counts as a common writer in Showa is not the same as common writer today.
It was for a second.
Interesting. Let me check some stuff. I'll be right back. You guys continue on.
That is actually a good point. We're checking stuff. We're checking stuff. I don't know if it's my internet. You're cutting out a lot. I don't know if Okay. So, Drago, you can hear the static as well. I'm making sure I'm not the only one hearing static, and I'm not like
Maybe it's
losing it.
like my mic.
I can hear you now, better now. That actually sounds clear.
Yeah, I'm actually deep throwing that stuff. Like, oh, I need to clean after that after this stream.
I could read the chat. It doesn't matter. Like, I know we got to figure out who's gonna read the chat because we're both trying to read it.
Yeah, I was trying to check to see if it was my bandwidth messing up, but
Orion Gold. I know the riders didn't have rides, and it was really annoying. I don't know, be mine. I pay so much. I will call them real quick live on stream and yell at them.
Before you take your 2-hour nap. All right, so where do we leave off on?
We were still talking about Jack Revice, and then I was going through chat because, we've been debating, if Crimson Veil's a rider or not, and this and that.
I mean, he doesn't have a belt. He just uses.
I know. I think we all came to the.
Toy never called him a rider. They said he's a pseudo rider.
Yeah, but Sajed had a good point that Showa would count as a rider is a lot different than now in the Reiwa generation. Like, I mean, nowadays, Shadow Moon would be considered a rider. Jack Revice, people could say, technically a rider because there's a gimmick involved. So
in my opinion,
I could see
like, what Toy says is like it's like okay, like fine. Like how much I'm upset they made like Shadow Moon a rider. Like I don't know, like Crimson Veil.
I mean, the term Kamen Rider has been used so loosely, technically, since like Ryugi.
He doesn't really have like a driver or something. How much?
Yeah, it's not. They get the one like guaranteed like motorcycle scene, and that's it.
Let's not talk about that. Like the least, the pretty much. The amount of time that like riders are not riding their bikes, like I don't get it.
I mean,
gosh, I'm hoping that
there's a whole different talking point when it comes to like the reason for the lack of motorcycles. It's Japanese traffic laws when it comes to customized vehicles, things like that. So that started coming into effect back in like 2002, 2003 when Fies was on the air, which is why the majority of Fies scenes you see them literally walking with their motorcycles as opposed to actually riding them. Like, that was a whole thing they had to start to address since back then. How they got away with it in Kabuto is beyond me, because Kabuto had a lot of, bikes in the road scenes.
Yeah, like, I still remember that scene of, like...
And Saber did all theirs with green screens, so for the one episode they did.
And now that he has just been like, Revice have just a big hovercraft that he used, like, twice.
And a bicycle that a stamp dropped into. Let's not forget the bicycle.
Yeah. Him and Sakur had the super street rage with them bikes.
Wait, he also had that? He also had that skateboard.
No, shut up. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. All right, so the thing is okay, so back to Jack Revice and that entire thing, which... I thought the arc was actually pretty good having Vice be the one to take over and the whole role reversal with him and Iki. That was a good dynamic. And then once they actually flip-flopped and you started seeing that, Vail's ability... I mean, not Vail's. Vice's abilities with the rolling Vice stamp was more of a paint mechanic, while for Iki, once he was in control, changed it to a more elemental ability that we got to see more of once they upgraded up to Thunder Gale. Still one of the worst suits in my opinion. Was a good dynamic, at least for the rolling Vice stamp portion.
A different color. If it was a different color,
the Thunder Gale grew on me, but it's still not like
Thunder Gale looked like someone just threw a whole bag
Panda
of
Gale as like a base
starbursts
suit,
on the
just-
ground and they melted together.
It did give us some great action sequences when he would put the elemental symbols out and like Sakura or Daiji would jump through them and do the attacks. Some of that stuff, like the fighting sequences and this that, were really good. Just the suit itself is just.
Who is the main character in Revice?
Until-
Hikaru. Hikaru is the main character.
Sakura.
Because I can tell you,
no,
it's
no,
not
no, Hikaru,
it's not
Hikaru.
Iki. Iki felt like a background character in his own show, and that's my biggest issue that I really have with the show, is that they spent too much of the time in the first half developing everyone else that he just felt like a background asset in his own show. They didn't even start addressing the memory loss portion until after the halfway point when they were like, oh yeah, we gotta start talking about why he's disappearing from these photos.
Yeah. Also, the fact that like there's a way to have a main character. You could have had him at the forefront and had all the other people still get their moments, but keep his development as the main plot point. But there was episodes where he was literally in the background or barely shown at all, just as a, oh look, I'm here with Vice, I'm gonna kick this enemy for you. And now here's Sakura.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, we
he's,
had more development with Daiji and Kagero in the beginning, and Sakura, and then I would even argue Hiromi, as well as Aguilera and Tamaki before we ever got any real development with Iggy. Because we started getting it after the halfway point when they introduced his soccer buddy to start talking about the whole memory loss thing. But otherwise, I was still like, it's a little bit too late. Like, I already started not caring about this character at all. He's just been there.
And Jota and Nikki pointed out, didn't the writer say he wanted to make Sakura as the main character? There was things going on where like there was going to be a female main character as the main character. I think it was supposed to be Sakura to an extent.
But wasn't like every year they're doing that? Oh, we're making a female main writer. It's never going to be. It's like, I don't know. Like
Hold on, I got a
rumors always
spam bot
come
in here
out.
for some reason.
No, I
I'm gonna
see that in
log
there.
in.
Definitely some interesting emoji choices.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
oh. They're talking about builds, guys. What are they talking about?
Yeah, Sakura was Roxas of Malice. Yes, Sakura was shallow at most points. There wasn't really too much depth to an extent in most of her arcs, but her arcs at least didn't feel like they dragged out and were like boring. Like they didn't feel like they were just, they still were good short arcs that didn't overstay their welcome.
All right, I got the bot.
No, there's no oh hi Mark. Okay, no, I get those so much. Little sidebar: I got married last month, and in our wedding book, all of my friends signed the wedding book with "Oh hi Mark" over and over again, and that's not even a joke. That actually happened. And I'd explained to my wife, she's like, "Why did everyone all your friends write "Oh hi Mark" over and over again?" I'm like, "Well, there's this movie called The Room."
So okay,
no
people
high
keep
mark.
saying Sakura was the main character for a point of the series, but honestly, I still feel that Sakura was incredibly shallow after her arc. Yes, so it in the beginning she was done very well, and then her arc with Aguilera was good as well, but then she once again became background fodder. That's the issue that we keep having with this show. They're juggling too many characters. They don't know who to focus on, and in order to progress another character, then we got to take someone else down a peg. The fact that it took like Sakura so long to actually get an upgrade really feels like last minute after thinking. Like Evolity Life, all of
And
these
it
were
wasn't
like last
explained
second.
good either.
Hey, at least not. At least it's not Valkyrie's. Like Valkyrie's upgrade. She transformed once and she just get her ass kicked. Hey, at least it's not that.
Well,
I mean,
Like
go ahead, Mark.
my thing is like with Sakura and everyone else, whenever they like did good, then I feel like they had this weird thing in the second half of the show where they had to put everyone in pairs. So Sakura had to be with like Hana, but then we had Tamaki wanted to be around Hana, so instead we have him with Hikaru. But then at the same time we have just Iki and Vice doing stuff, and like Daiji on his own with Akaishi, it's like everyone paired off for some reason. It felt really like instead of
It's
just
true.
letting everyone have their own growth, they had to feed off of other people, and it didn't work out because most of the time it was kind of like throwaway filler that could have been used to maybe fill some gaps in like Ikki's memory. Why is this happening? Why is he losing his memory? Sakura with Love Cove, she has a wound on her back. She's molting and growing. It's like, so the demons inside of them can evolve. Like,
And
I don't.
the biggest cop out with that is just like you would expect some sort of actual transformation to happen, but
Yeah,
no, there
What
wasn't.
you doing? Like,
she could say more words and talk.
She
more.
grew up. She went through puberty. That's all that happened. Let's see.
Her
Roxas of
angsty
Malice
music
says,
in
do
her
you
room
think
phase.
the idea of Ikki's memory got rewritten midway because the rules as we know now make no sense? How would Ikki forgetting memories erase him from photos? That's one of the things that I feel completely in agreement with, is why would memory loss make him erase from the photos? It would make more sense if it was everyone else forgetting about Ikki, which is why he would erase from the photos, because they would have no point of that reference in the photos.
Because they tried to do a Back to the Future. Okay,
yeah.
when he was erasing for photos, except for the fact that when he was erasing, he wasn't going to exist. It would have made better sense for the photos to stay the same and him forget everything.
Like,
And
I
I'd be like,
think
why
they
am I in this photo?
like I think they really wanted to try to kind of make it look cool than actually explain it better. I think that's kind of the best way to say it. They wanted it to look cool, but like, oh no, it's fine. He's not being forgotten, but he's forgetting stuff. That's like the one thing I can defend.
Memory loss, because considering that he's technically had this contract with Vice since he was a kid, like, why does suddenly having this belt triggering the memory loss faster?
There was no consistency either. I questioned like what is causing the memory loss? Why is it that he forgot his parents in one episode, then 2 episodes later forgot his brother and sister, and then the next episode is leading up to him losing his last memory? I'm like, what expedited the process? Like, because if it's just the ultimate Gifford like stamp, but what about all those other like countless genomes they used previously?
Like, I'm like kind of memory like headcanon. It's like, oh, like, because they're using more gift cells, maybe that is kind of triggering more and more faster and faster memory loss.
Well,
But, like, that's
I mean,
my
my entire thing is like, if they knew the transforming would end up accelerating the memory loss and then pulled it out of their ass that if he forgot everything that the contract would become null and void, why not speed run through all the henshins? Like just isolate this man in the room, make him like just nonstop henshin in and out, break the contract, but then the tension and the drama would instantly get broken by them doing that. But it honestly
And
would
we
have been
wouldn't have
resolved
got
in one
that.
episode.
We wouldn't have got that really good final episode either.
It could have spun off to a different thing, or they could have just not done memory loss. They could have gone with something else.
Oh,
He would have
There's
disappeared. Would have disappeared. He would grow more dicks on his head.
No, because the thing is, like, early on when Vice was seeing the photos of Ikki disappearing, he let out a chuckle. You would think it would be one of those of, like, if you disappear, then I replace you type of thing. That was my original headcanon. But we didn't get that.
No.
And I think they thought that that would have been bad end to begin with. But, you know, they could have pulled some more shit out of their ass to make it even more impactful. So...
I mean, when we get to the final episode, we could talk about how that could possibly still be a thing in a future V cinema.
It's not going. It's probably going to be in the movie wars and maybe.
Well, it won't be
no.
Battle Familia, but we know they're gonna have like another V cinema after the other three. They're definitely gonna do like an actual full, like another. They're gonna milk Revice because it's an anniversary season.
Probably made them a
So
lot
of course,
money.
next up, we've got Akaishi now being the big bad after Ortega gets swallowed up by the Gifusi. So now the biggest, like, you couldn't keep this shit hidden. The second Akaishi showed up, everybody already knew. Like, yeah, he's working both sides. He's working both sides. There's no way he's not a bad guy.
He looks evil.
He has the face for it. He wears gloves indoors.
Yeah. and like the way that it's kind of like has his hands always positioned. It's kind of funny. I remember first time seeing it was like, oh, that's the main bad guy. That's the villain. Guys, I think that's the villain, guys. I think he's the mastermind.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. He had the Gifusi on his hand, and he was, you know, summoning these extra Giftarians and introducing the concept of Hell Giftarians that got thrown out like a couple days later, so that didn't even matter either. And then of course that's also when we get main character Hikaru getting instantly powered up to getting the Demon's Driver and getting the Over Demons suit, and I'm still mad about that. Which brings me to this question from Animating Andy about where was it? It was about his company like getting involved with him becoming a writer and how we feel towards that. I mean, when you're young and you're doing these shows, because a lot of people don't realize that tokusatsu ends up being a stepping stone for a lot of actors when they first get out into the acting world in Japan. A lot of these guys and girls are anywhere from 17 to 19 when they start acting in these shows. So they're using it as a springboard to hopefully get their career to like Joe Adagiri levels. You can only wish.
Or like the person that played like
and of course your stock's going to rise better if you were a writer in a Kamen Rider show.
Yeah, you're going to get that popularity, that fan base behind you, and merch sales. So like if they get put on like a J drama or this and that, they're going to be like, hey, remember that guy was a Kamen Rider? Because I don't think it's Toku's different there than, you know, Power Ranger stuff here. Whereas like, you know, Tokusatsu, whether it's Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, that's like a jump start that could springboard you and rocket ship you into bigger projects, because most of them also do music as well. Then you're kind of like an idol as well there. So it's like that's you. If you're on a Kamen Rider show and you're not going to get the henshin, would you even want to be on the show? Like,
Toku guy, Gaga's dead. That's it. Spoiler alert, she dies. Yeah. She dies in page 2 of Dear Gaga. The end. That's it.
Sadly. What? Sadly.
We had a Prince of Els that gets crowned in that special.
How good Dear Gaga was. Guys, let's talk about
that was a waste of time. I regret reviewing the first one. I'm never going to review the second one. It's done.
Didn't even do the first one. I watched it. I was like, I'm not doing anything with this.
Gaga can just, just stay dead. Her ashes sprinkled
it made no sense because
Kaiser's.
Our side stuff was so good with that. Like Revice Legacy Vail was so good, and yet Dear Gaga was trash. The mystery for what it was, which was very fan servicey with like previous writers showing up, like was good. And I was like, Dear Gaga, I was like, why was this even?
And even the Kamen Rider Girl special that ends technically this upcoming Sunday is good.
Yeah.
I actually like here's the thing. Like I'm not like, oh my god, Dear Gaga was fucking amazing, but I did like it though. Like again, you roll me stand like 100% that vibe. Maybe because it was more like slice of life type of thing. You know, it wasn't supposed to be about action. It's supposed to be more about kind of developing and showcasing more of Hiromi's character and story. Maybe because of that I liked it. And I did feel it was amazing.
But look, someone explained to me how Wakabayashi's ghost in Dear Gaga 2 could actually drink sake. Like, explain that to me, because I was like, why is this man drinking sake? He's dead.
Nope.
Like, he's just out here. Gifford actually says something that, Mark, you could relate to. But the good thing about Hikaru was that he was able to pull off the Over Demons full Geno mix.
Yes, the best.
Easily
top 3 seeds of the whole entire show. Best
I wish
scene.
It was a suit. I wish it was an actual suit, kind of like.
Not with how bulky that thing is. You'll need like stilts.
No. Yeah, like you'd have to have people with green screen suits to like move it around and then edit them out in post. I think it's easier just to do CG.
They should have just birthday it. It's the most amazing suit he knows. Come on, guys.
Are you talking? Are we slandering birth now too?
No, just the birthday suit.
I was just like, Okay,
No,
it's
no.
a birthday. So I thought you said like, listen, I was like, Zio, who is this you're bringing on around? Like,
He's called Trash Toku
Slater
for a
everywhere.
reason. He's got trash taste.
Yeah.
It's the entire thing.
I'm
It's the entire thing.
there's all.
I'm just talking about the birthday suit. I think the birthday suit sucks. So like I love it. How much I love it because it's shit. Like I like the I legitimately like the remix. We never actually talked about the remix, guys. How good they are. You wanna like have like an hour conversation how good the remix are and how much
I don't know
better
about
than
that.
ever.
No, I'm not
No.
talking about the remixes,
Nah.
okay? Because
Nah.
those.
No. All right. So moving on to the next, from one trash suit to another trash suit, we go from Over Demons to Kamen Rider Aguilera. Just the biggest cop out ever with the weekend driver making its debut, Masumi showing up with it in the middle of Iki and Daiji's, brotherly fight that they keep having now back and forth. And then we get the cop out with Tamaki getting it. And then Vail pulling off an ability right out his ass where he just instant transmissions, snatches up the Vice stamp, and then knocks him out. Then we get a Vice situation where someone else pulls up the driver, and lo and behold, it is Hana, regressing to Aguilera tier, even though she was supposed to have gone past this. But we're not going to judge the semantics on this. And then goes on and transforms into Kamen Rider Aguilera that, still not a fan of this form. Not at all.
Yeah, no. And I did not like the form one bit. I thought some of the cool jingle, but like, it felt off aesthetically. When you have all the riders next to each other, it stands out, but not in a good way. It stands out in the one of these doesn't belong. Circle what doesn't belong in this picture. It's like, oh, Kamen Rider Aguilera doesn't belong.
She's like super kid batch. She's like
Fire Fury says, I wouldn't have minded Aguilera becoming a writer if they did a better job building up to that moment. Well, that's the thing. It's like, this was Tamaki's moment, in my opinion, because he definitely deserved it. Like, he had so many prior moments of him becoming a writer, and we don't get it. And then Hana just gets it. We get like one small backstory tidbit, and it's just like, oh, that's the flag that means she's gonna become the writer. Okay, got it. So
Tamaki was like, everyone's saying Tamaki was robbed. He deserved his own form, 100%. Like, that was Tamaki. They gave Tamaki so many like moments where you thought it was going to happen, and it was much deserved. I think out of all the backstories of the three Deadmans, his was the most like, he needed the most redemption for everything. Even when, he went all berserk on freaking Ortega and everything else, I was like, give this man a driver. Like, it's the point where literally in the show he was asking and begging for them to let him henshin.
Yeah, and it's just like, it worked for Hikaru. Hikaru like begged until he got one.
No,
I mean,
listen, Hikaru is the main character. That's the difference.
I know. Well, that's why. But so everything up until Hikaru henshining was just the prologue to Kamen Rider.
Yes,
Yeah, that was it.
Like, finally, people understand the agenda. This is Kamen Rider Hikaru. It's not even over.
Yeah, Hikaru is essentially the Jin from Kamen Rider Amazons. He's the precursor to everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh fuck. Oh no. Don't remind me of Amazon season 2. Please.
No. Nothing
that.
exists past season 1. Nothing exists past season 1. We'll just ignore the rest of Amazons. Okay.
I think that Tamaki should have been over Demons from the start. I'm the only one who thinks.
I'm still like just not a fan of the suit of Over Demons in general, and the fact that we went from such a great design of demons, and then Over Demons just it's cobbled together so badly. No, and the thing is, if you look at the armor component for it, the armor component for the Vail shoulder part is overlaid over the exact same armor portion that is for demons. Like, you have the ab part over the ab part, and you can see it on the suit. They didn't even bother just taking out that little piece of the suit and just it was
a lot.
It was done on a very bad budget. They cobbled that thing together way too last minute from the way that it feels like.
I love because they
And I
did
didn't like the name.
actually fix it. I actually like the name, like the idea of like over demons. Like I
Thank
when
you,
the
Fire
leak
Fury. Thank you. I agree.
when the leak of like over demons came out, I'm like, oh, he like I thought I'm from the beginning thought it was the big Tamaki because like he's over his demons. I like I headcanon it so well that I actually was like legitimately upset when he couched.
I
I don't
think what
know.
ruined Overdemons was social media, because everybody was way too like hype on him doing all these fan art bits on how they think it was gonna look like. Then once we actually got it, everybody like joint vomited in their mouths.
Yep.
Like I think it, like with a little bit of tweaking of the outfit would have been actually a really fun suit. I liked it. Like I'm like the weird guy here that actually kind of liked it. But I can't say it's my favorite suit. It's in like very much like below, like I don't know, like probably live jackal form that I actually do like. But
You
let's
like
not talk
live
about that.
jackal?
Yes, yes. Oh,
What's wrong with
can
you?
understand. I have trash taste, boy. You don't understand that? That's my name of my
Just
channel.
got a case of secondhand embarrassment.
God,
Here's the
man.
thing. I'm
This is
proud
why
of
you
my
don't review
trash
Kamen Writer
taste.
in your in your channel. This is
I'm
why
gonna
you.
revoke. I'm revoking your Ultraman card.
No, you like it. Wait, you like Rube, all right? Let's not talk about that. You like Rube. Let's
Evil Jackal looks amazing. Yeah, Evil Jackal. Like
Oh
it
yeah.
looks like it was a form
oh yeah,
designed for evil, not for live, not for live at all.
like I thought it's going to be like okay, when Life's going to use it, he's going to have a form that's similar to Brave, because you know the color scheme of Evil was
Tokugai shit
yellow.
up.
I just
Jackal
saw
form is
that
the
message.
best
I was
form
like,
in
wow.
Revice.
Whoa,
No.
whoa, whoa, Tokugai. I like Jackal form, but like not that much. I like
Kuga22
it
says
because
my favorite characters in Revice are George and Vice, just because of the charm and humor. I find Iki and Sakura fun as well. In my
I
opinion, George is probably my favorite character in the show, but they just did him so wrong at the
100%.
end.
He was so good in the beginning, and then in the middle, like when you got that whole "what is George really up to" with the whole Jack Revice time frame, still good. Everything towards the end, which I call the daddy arc,
I, I
was
can,
unnecessary.
can we say that like him calling his dad daddy kind of weird?
No,
Like it's not.
it seems
Oh,
on
so you
brand for George.
I know I don't know. Like when he says daddy, I always kind of go like to a different
Daddy.
connotation. I go
Okay,
to a
I go
different
see
connotation.
daddy.
No, I mean,
But no,
the George mixing in like all the English with his words, like just felt on brand for him to just call him daddy. Though, especially, ooh, who got that background yelling going on?
so that's
Hot
our little
face,
7-week-old kitten just jumped over my wife up the couch and almost fell behind it, and she's like this big.
Damn.
That thing is
Sure.
like that's like a 4 or 5 foot vertical jump. I'm like, good lord, she's gonna be a basketball player. Put her in Space Jam 3.
Well, okay, so before we get on George, because he's technically one of the last characters we should be talking about, since he's got that
so much
final
things
arc.
to say.
Let's just
He's the tertiary rider.
okay, so let's just get through dealing with Akaishi and Gifu, because that's pretty much where we're at right now. We've got Akaishi as the villain. He's fucked.
Roomy.
Yeah, he's pretty much did his damage to Daiji. He's full on Gifusi, like Team Gifusi. He is here all for it all. Fell for the bait when it came to Akemi. What a lackluster character. You introduced this woman just to pretty much
I legitimately
essentially put her in the fridge for Daiji. She was the girlfriend in the fridge situation for Daiji, even though she wasn't even the girlfriend.
and that entire like relationship with Daiji and Hikami was kind of weird. It's like, oh, she is like 30 and he's like 18. It's like, I get you like MILFs, but come on, brother.
But it's implied that she had a relationship with Hiromi beforehand, so he's just getting the sloppy
that was
seconds.
implied.
Oh,
No, I saw it as Daiji basically, when Hiromi quote unquote died off the cliff, he took up the mantle of being surrogate Hiromi for everything now. So like he felt like it was his duty to protect her from everything because that's what Hiromi was ordered. That like it was his job to be that person at Phoenix. So I felt like I got Daiji's side of the things. It doesn't mean it was good. It didn't make too much sense, especially when she's literally freezing, talking to Ikki, and then gets destroyed while Daiji is still there, and still he blamed. Like I was like, you just saw she got murdered, right? You missed that 2 seconds when you were right there. Like that whole part with Daiji was just useless, and
Like-
they made him such a little bitch.
They could have made it better. They could have made it like Michi Gaim, because like I remember first time like seeing it, like okay, they're doing kind of like okay, he thinks he's doing the right thing. He's losing his mind, but yeah, like I don't really remember specifically that episode. I remember him kind of like, oh my god, you killed my girlfriend, my non-girlfriend.
But it's still like poor timing on
saying,
everyone's
like,
part, because like Mark said, Daiji shows up like right after she dies, and then Hiromi shows up like right after Daiji sees that she dies. Like everyone just missed everything and gets like nope. Not only that, but then the following episode, Hiromi's just like, whatever, yeah, she died, it's cool, I'm here for you now. Then cue the zoomy eyes just on them. No, so it's Daiji just completely king of misunderstanding. So much going on, and just letting Akaishi ride his ass the entire time for falling for the entire bait, leading up to, all these Weekend folks dying, aka giving Hikaru character development. So let's go ahead, kill Weekend Mom. Cool, bet, got it. Alright, let's go ahead, kill Weekend Dad. Cool, got it. Hikaru's got his character development after he became a writer.
What's her name?
Neat. And then, yeah. And then...
It's so dumb.
Well, it was dumb when he did the whole broadcast thing to try and make it seem like he was being killed off by Gifu, where he gets the whole setup to just make Gifu
so
show
great.
up.
I was cracking up.
I mean, it was hilarious, but I'm like still
That was
within
so funny. Like
the context of the show itself. This is supposed to be a serious moment.
Like-
And it's just like, he's killing me, and then just like laughing as he's going down.
Yeah. Dude,
Which
Which
I
reminds me,
was just like,
Juicy
this is the
Gifusi
worst
is still
acting
available
ever.
right now from Phoenix Records.
Isn't it Bluebird Records now?
no.
Akaishi has no part in that.
No. So that was
Like wasn't
this whole time frame of the show was like when I was like there'd be maybe 2 or 3 minutes per episode that I really fully enjoy, and then everything else was like I contemplated just skipping ahead or playing the episode at like 2 times speed, just because I was like, this whole Akaishi, I feel like if the whole Daiji element of that arc wasn't there, with like Daiji being manipulated by him, which wasn't even good manipulation as a master manipulator myself, I think it was lazy on his end. Like Akaishi without Daiji there could have been better, made him more menacing or this and that. But every single time like you start to take him serious, he goes over and starts petting Daiji's head or cheeks and trying to hug him, and I'm like, we don't need this. Don't make that dynamic. Make it more like Daiji works for Phoenix. You are director of Phoenix. Give him orders against his will to go out and do this stuff. You don't need to manipulate him like a father figure.
And when Daiji gets his ass handed to him, and Akaishi just shows up going like, this is my family. You just hurt my family. I was like, you little bitch. What the fuck? I was completely...
here's the thing.
like, now that we know the whole, like, chimera shit, it also is a giant cop-out, but still. Go on.
Yeah.
That was on my tangent.
Think about it this way. Daiji only had issues with Ikki being a busybody. Daiji had no issues with his dad or his mom. So why would he have parental issues when his only issues he really had was with Ikki being a busybody and a nosy little bastard, and then the whole him not dealing with the fact that Hiromi's gone, and then his fake nurse girlfriend's gone, and everything else. Like, but he had no issues with his mom and his dad, so I don't see why they had to put Akashi as a father figure when he had no daddy issues. He's not George, no daddy.
Yeah, like that's one thing I never actually really thought about. But like, it's kind of weird that he was like, "Oh no, fuck you, mom! Like I have a new dad now. My dad is a weird, creepy old 30 million
Who
year
wears,
old
who wears
man."
gloves indoors?
Yep. O.J. Simpson.
Can't
Let's
get over
go.
that. It Recon Gamers has a good point. I think Kaguro should have taken over and then joined Akaishi. If Kaguro wasn't quote unquote dead, that would have made more sense and actually been good.
And you can have like,
And you could have Alteka as demons, the Kaguro as evil, and Akaishi. That would have been a good new trio.
and they could like go on like father son trips.
And you could have kept the whole Kaguro Daiji thing still not fully known. So like Daiji the whole time could have not known. He could have thought he was just blacking out and having memory loss, whereas it was really Kaguro taking over. Kind of like a Bruce Banner Hulk situation.
And then it would have actually made more sense for the belt to say "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo," because that's a whole underutilized portion of the two-side driver. Is we never hear that afterwards. We don't even hear the live version of the "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo" in the show. We've never heard that. It just goes straight into it. It's all gone.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow. That's.
I don't even have the options to do anything. Let me see.
I was gonna say, I was like, that's what. I'm gonna see what your name is. I'm gonna. All right. You think I don't know? Think I don't know the internet? I don't think that's a bot.
That's
no, it's just someone trying to push buttons. So, but for some reason, I can't jump out.
As someone with a degree in computer science and network security, really bad idea to troll or anything like that when I'm around.
Weirdo.
There we go.
Joda, I was gonna make the BL joke about Akaishi, and then I was like, I think it was honestly just once again Akaishi being inconsistent. Like he could be menacing, and then he could be like over the top, then he could be, it's just a really weird situation for Akaishi's character.
I think they should have just decided if he would be over the top or menacing. But here's the thing: like he was building up to Gifu, so him being overly menacing and then have Gifu being Gifu, I don't know if it could have worked. That's the thing. Like I liked him being over the top because like it's at least something different.
Let's see.
All right.
Okay, now I know your email address and who registered that account and what their IP address is. Because I get bored. Now I'm going to send email. And done.
Okay. So it's around this portion that we get like one of the other highs that we get within the context of the series, which is the Deathstream Vail fight happens around this point. While
Best episode.
The thing about this episode that's very weird is just because like 2 episodes before it, we have Vail talk to Daiji and just tell him, I feel that this Genta thing's not going to work out anyway, so why don't we just form a contract because your dad's just out getting milk with the homies nonstop, so this is never going to be a thing. Only for it to end up being a thing 2 episodes later.
Yeah.
Wait, did we actually form a contract with him?
No, they didn't really form a contract. They just teamed up.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about could have even the Vail could have formed a contract with the Daiji. That could have been actually interesting. now thinking about it. But like, yeah.
And
No, it's
I
kind
mean,
of weird. Like,
the heart was in the right place as well for Genta, because literally the previous episode he's seeing Daiji go through all this shit, and he's like, I gotta show him how you handle your demons the right way. So let me show him how it's done, daddy style. So he just goes on, commissions an upgrade to the belt, and then just throws hands. Probably one of the best fights, if not the best fight in the series, was the Deathstream Vail fight. Overlay that with the music that we got, the My Dream music from the Vail special, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That suit was so good.
And it's insane that it's like, oh, like the entire undersuit is just like
It's reused. It's reused Kamen Rider Century, but then the entire Deathstream suit itself looks a little bit like a streamlined Gifu. Like the way that it's designed looks a lot like the proportions of Gifu itself.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. Yeah, it looks like kind of like if Gifu was a good rider and kind of like a final form to like the demons drive.
I'm curious because I feel like the stuff that really worked was the stuff that was probably always planned from the get-go.
Like the thing,
because
the stuff that worked is the stuff around the family, and that was the best stuff. That was like the best. That was the highest moments when the show was really about like Genta and Yukimi and the siblings and their demons. That was the best stuff.
But
even in the ending, the best.
But
stuff
like the first time,
the family.
But like the first time that Genta shows up and throws hands, the show goes downhill right after this as well. Because right after this whole Deathstream Vail fight, Gifu finally shows up outside of his little pocket dimension with his whole hand waving shit and all that stuff. That oh yeah, we've already gotten Ultimate Revice by this point, but yeah, forgot to touch on that point.
Which is really weird because we got basically realistically the final form way before the ending.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even at 100%.
And well, that's the thing. It's like it came out so super overpowered. Yeah, we just stamped the stamp on the ground and we can make so many versions of ourselves to handle all these. Meanwhile, right after this episode, when Gifu summons so many like demons, oh, how are we going to handle all these demons? If only we had the ability to make hundreds of ourselves. Oh no, here's main character Hikaru flying by with the bombs.
That was cool. That was a cool scene that with Hikaru coming through.
Listen, he forgot. He forgot how to do it. It's a part of the amnesia storyline, right? He just forgot.
Vice wouldn't have forgotten. He's the only one that still retains the memories.
He only forgets his family. That's it. He doesn't forget George or anything else, which still doesn't make any sense. So really, he didn't forget much.
He just forgets about his daddy. He's real daddy.
Oh yeah, but let's also not forget that right after the end of the Deathstream fight, I thought that Masumi died because he gives George like the whole thumbs up, nice job, Georgie, and then like collapses, and it's just like, ah, shit, he died, man. Well, at least George saw that. Ah, he's not dead, and that's what kickstarts this whole stupid George arc later on, which we'll get into in a moment.
Right.
But
didn't Masumi start dying all the way back to like the Vail driver situation when he got the driver? Like every episode, I thought he was gonna die. I'm like, oh man, he's dying.
But this was the time that he actually collapsed fully, like, and you thought that he died, but no, no,
he's fine.
No, he was just feeling sleepy. That's
he was just tired. He was exhausted. He needed a nap. He needed a dad nap. Okay, so in this whole overly stretched out Gifu arc, we get ass pull after ass pull, and that's also where we get Evolity Live, which I feel was like one of the biggest ass pull forms ever to try and redeem this man.
Now that I know how to pronounce it, I like the suit though, except for the color change halfway through the episode when it debuted.
Yeah,
I noticed you pointed that out as well. Like I was like, They changed the chest piece color a bit.
Like I wish it was a lot more like the blues. It's just like it's too like completely different. Like the color, completely different cyan colors. And it was super weird. But like when they actually fixed it, like in that episode, that looks better, in my opinion.
I mean, the suit's redundant. Do you need a cape and wings?
Yeah,
Of course.
why not?
Okay, Magna Anjimon.
Why not?
I was gonna make that. It makes sense. No, but like, I think, like I said, they could have handled the Kagero Daiji stuff a little bit better, building up to it, so it would have like. I still had my reaction where I was happy that Kagero was back, because I'm like, finally, a good character is back on screen. But it's like one of those things where it's like, man, they could have built up to that, so it would have had more impact from a character development and story standpoint that Kagero shows up. And giving us an evil version of it as well, because I hated later on when Kaguro's just coming out of evil and tries to go up against Juga, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Base form, okay.
That whole fight made no sense, but I guess we'll get into that portion of it. But yeah, the whole Evolity Live arc situation was a little dumb, only because, yeah, I was just waiting for you to just say you needed me. I was here in the stamp the whole time. The whole time you were out here struggling, getting that booty clapped by this old man. I was just there watching like he's not saying my name yet. Just say my name while Akaishi's like clapping them cheeks. But didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Like Shazam just gotta say Kagero and...
Let's not say that, you know, like Daiji was... Maybe Daiji was clapping Akaishi's cheeks.
That's in the V Cinema. It's Waku Revice.
Waku Revice. That's yeah, that's definitely gonna be the ultimate V Cinema.
Under the Toei Takusatsu Fun Time Club thing.
Time. Very fun time with Akaishi.
Wow.
Fun time with Daddy.
This is why we're not mainstream Toku tubers, because we're so not tame for like the rest of the groups. All right, so yeah, we got that, and then Evolty Live shows up way too powerful, but that's Revice in a nutshell. Anytime they debut a new writer, they're always OP as hell. The second they show up, they're always overpowered. And then the next episode, they get jobbed. It was like that for every single writer debut in this show. They show up, OP, next episode, jobbed.
But that's like Toku in a nutshell most of the time. Like they give you a new form, then oh my god, there's a new enemy that's stronger. That's always was like Toku specifically, like Kamen around kind of.
Nah, the power scaling works the same way in like shonen anime. Come on now.
Yeah,
I've watched Dragon Ball
does.
for too long to not realize the ass pull of power ups.
I watched Two Piece.
Not that into anime, so I don't really know a lot about that.
Trust me, the power scaling in this you have to scale up powers in this at least every 15 chapters.
Gosh, this is for like anime for me is still kind of new. I recently really got into it, but like but it always was kind of like that in like Toku specifically. Again, Heisei Phase 2 either just kind of like, oh, like we're getting like a power up. That's like
that was towards later
Yeah,
phase two Heisei.
Yeah.
Not like phase one was kind of like you'd be lucky if you had 3 forms.
Yeah, no, I specifically said it's like phase two.
Could
So,
tell.
like-
There's a little staticky in there. I didn't know if you
Was
said
Ultimate
phase-
Revice jobbed? I don't believe it lost the
No.
fight.
No, it never lost a fight.
No, not really.
No, that's the thing is like I point out like it's Ultimate Revice, but when they were building the stamp, it got to 95% complete of Gifu juice inside of it. I was gonna say something else, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say Gifu juice, and so it was never fully powered, which is why they never went back to the fact that hey, the stamp's not finished. And I always thought we should address this. It should be giving some feedback, like when other people try to use their stamps and it feeds like this should be unstable because George said it was going to be unstable, but it never was.
I
So-
literally forgot about that.
So then after we get Evolty Live, that's when we finally get Invincible Genu. With the whole scar thing, the whole molting aspect of it all, and it's like, y'all just pulled this shit right out your ass when it comes to this entire power-up. Like, it's obvious to us as a viewer watching it, but it's like, Sakura, how could you not catch on that this is the entire thing? Like, you learned this lesson when you first became Genu. Why did you regress so much as to forgetting that the entire thing about Love Cove was that she represented your vulnerabilities and you didn't have to protect that? Like, it was a good thing to have. And just for her to walk it back, essentially. And then only to accept it later on, thus leading to, I think, the only Vice stamp that wasn't an actual concoction of George actually debuting with the King Cobra Vice stamp.
It just kind of came out of her ass, pretty much. Like, this Vice stamp.
Didn't technically the
Perfect
No.
Wing? Perfect Wing, I would
Yeah.
say not really, because it was the Crow Vice stamp originally, and then it became the Holy Wing. So we knew it had like some sort of change abilities. But
which
the other
George
one,
was never surprised about.
Maybe like they could have explained it at least, like where she got it. They never asked her, like, how the fuck you got that like stamp?
It was in her pouch the whole time.
I mean,
Little
could've
pouch
used
on
that was a moment when we found out that she just kept the Vice stamps in the pouch, but still.
It's just like the whole Daiji Kagero. Sakura never asked what was in the pouch. She's like, all you did was ask, and the King Cobra would have been in there.
Like I'm like that entire.
The
I like this.
the rolling Vice stamp was made by Masumi, so we'll chalk that one up to just daddy. But
Yeah.
So daddy's fault.
yep, because he also did the Crimson Veil Vice stamp, so he just knows how to make them rolling Vice stamps be a thing. So
I know.
then we get
Look at that.
the full team up, and finally, Gifu is dead. Wow. Can I just say that was a lackluster final battle?
Very
Like-
visually appealing from a color standpoint with all the polarities and everything else, and a nice ride. I'm all for all family rider kick. I'm a sucker for those, but it didn't seem like they defeated the main villain. It didn't seem like it felt like it was just it just happened.
It's like when you play
That
a
was
video
it.
game, like imagine if you didn't feel like the impact from when you were doing hits in Monster Hunter or something like that. It felt like that. It felt like a moment with just no weight to it. Like you didn't feel any form of substance when it actually happened, because it's like, oh, black hole. Okay, he's gone. But this was a villain that literally fought you guys by just hand waving and CGI attacks the entire time. So I never felt that
And
he
no
was
talking.
properly going to throw like hands. Oh yeah, and the
That's
talking
the
suddenly that
elephant in
came
the
out of
room.
nowhere.
He talked through Vice, but like I was like, I even point out, this cannot be the main villain if he can't even talk. He's
No,
not
the
saying
dumb
anything.
part was he talked through
that was
Vice, and then
cool.
he didn't talk through Vice at the end when he starts admitting, I just wanted a family. That's all I wanted was just a family.
He's like, you guys can join me, and everyone else will be destroyed. It's like that's awkward.
Like,
And also, the main thing too is Vice even said it after they destroyed him. Did we just beat the final boss?
Nah,
And it's like,
we're
even
gonna
he
get the
was like-
Gifusi like V Cinema next year. That's just gonna reveal that he was just sucked into another pocket dimension.
yeah,
But it's kind of weird, like they defeated them, and like the demons all of the demons kind of continue to kind of stay alive. Like I never really got that. It was so weird. If as a villain was like legitimately such like a weird kind of like, oh, we have this villain that we were building up and nothing really happens with him. Like yeah, really cool moment. It's like when he was talking through Vice, that was actually kind of cool. Like I wish this is how we always
I was one of those people
talking to people.
that just wish Gifu was one of those villains that was like, this is not even my final form yet, and we got something that would have actually been raw. Now, no, I never wanted a Kamen Rider Gifu, still never want that, even if they like try pulling some shit, but it would have been nice to at least have something that was at least more agile, something that would actually, throw hands the correct way, and you'd be like, oh shit, everyone's getting curve
so
stomped.
bulky. I hate how bulky he was, and the only way I could like attribute it to is one of my favorite Kamen Rider seasons. He reminded me of some of the latter villains of Kamen Rider Blade, where I'm just like, these don't even look fun to fight against. Like, ugh. But
I can appreciate the bulkiness of the suit if they just have it for like one episode. Like he was kind of like almost like the Grumpy King in Kuga. Pretty much, he was the actual final fight. You just throw all your CGI into it, all your CGI money into it, then just have it pretty much be overexposed. I think that's pretty much the biggest problem with all of his fight.
no,
It's
he
just the same.
attacked with hentai tentacles. I can't take him seriously. Gifu was just washed.
Ah, come on.
Look,
It's
if Ortega, like they had this whole cop out thing with Ortega getting freed from the pocket dimension and then not doing anything with that until way later, just to tease us again. Had Ortega actually successfully afterwards put a plan into motion to properly like take in Gifu into himself and become the true big bad, that probably would have been 10 times better than what we would have gotten.
Could have been
Yeah.
actually Juga. Like
I thought that would have happened. Like, honestly, when he's in his little cocoon thing, I was like, oh, what if he was in this pocket dimension? Because once they're like, oh, that's Geef's stomach, I'm like, well, maybe he's just absorbing and digesting all this like Geef energy into him, and it's kind of like a metamorphosis thing where he's in a basically a cocoon, getting more powerful, and then he frees, and then instead he's just like, oh, smirks, gets Daiji all hyped up, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get Tamaki, we're gonna get Tamaki Ortega round 2, like throw hands, and then Hannah's like, don't punch him. I'm like, shut up, Hannah, shut up, go away.
Well-
and then he just gets handcuffs and disappears.
Well, boys, like we need to like build up to a V cinema. The show doesn't matter. That's kind of the entire point of it. Like, I don't
Listen.
know.
That V cinema better be the best damn V cinema ever, and be a redemption for how they treated Ortega.
And technically
Probably-
George later on as well. Because
Yeah, like
that would be the next arc. Now we're here at Juga. A 2-episode arc that he did to himself
yep.
because Hana gave him fair warning. Go see your dad. He's dying right now. This is your moment. Don't do something that you're going to regret. And he does exactly that. He does something that he regrets, does not get to say his goodbyes, and then is just distraught because he didn't own up to his own daddy issues.
And
But like, I think it's here's the thing. Like, I saw like the entire Juga arc as the way for George to really like very much grief over his dad. How much he wasn't really there for his death, for like his last moment. Because like, yeah, like I'll be on the same side as George if like, oh, my dad just left me. Oh, he's dying. I don't give a shit. But in the end, like, he was still like my dad, so I would have my own way to grieve. But it I don't know. I legitimately thought it could have handled it slightly better. But like the intention of Juga being George's way to grieve his father's death was kind of an interesting idea. Again, they could have handled it better. Could have maybe build it up more than just, oh, I'm just Juga now.
And I mean, the concept of Juga in itself was great because trying to make a Vice stamp that doesn't rely on demons, aka also explaining why he was trying to research those 10 Vice stamps in the beginning, you know, just to lead down this path. And of course, the whole plot line that was in the Chimera special, and I guess might be addressed in Battle Familia. I don't know. We'll see in February or March whenever we get that thing subbed. But like the concepts were good for Juga. The problem is introduced too late and ended too soon.
Yeah.
Gifu shouldn't have lasted as long as he did. He should have been dealt with episodes ago just to give Juga that breathing room.
There's even ways to fix it. Even if you didn't want Gifu to go that long, the whole time the Gifu arc is happening, all you need is George researching, and they're like, oh, what are you working on? Can you help us with this? He's like, no, we need to find a way to make a driver system that doesn't rely on demons or Geef's power. That's the way we could stop him, because your power is too equal and parallel. We need to go past it. Just a throwaway line like that would have made it better. We could have already had Juga set up. And with Masume dying, could have George go to visit him while he's alive and be like, hey, I can't figure this driver out. What do you think? Dad starts talking, dies mid-sentence without finally saying what to do. Then that just kind of makes George go a little more crazy, but we already have the whole non-demon devil driver already in place. Not as bad as daddy issues, but George just the science side. Like, we also have to talk about the fact that his dad put his demon inside of him when he was a kid, which was such a throwaway. And I feel like that was just thrown in there just to set up Battle Familia, and that's it.
Yeah.
Also, Shideko and Ruroni, you guys are mods now, so I just modded y'all in the chat.
Yeah, like I think that could have worked, like building it up. But the entire, like, here's the thing. I'm looking at it like it could be explained more in Battle Familia because we are not Japanese and we're not the target audience. Maybe it would be explained. Here's the thing, we don't know. That's kind of the biggest problem about like writers specifically. They put some information just please, and we just like, oh, let's wait until like next year. Like, I don't know, to be completely honest about that. But I thought again, like the biggest problem with Revice, it's not every show should be 50 episodes. Like straight up, not every show should be 50.
I've had the same opinion because being an Ultraman fan, I'm used to getting 25, 24 episodes, getting a complete story. Even sometimes they're not good, trigger. But Kamen Rider works for 48 to 50 episodes. When it's written good, shows can last 50 episodes and still have you hooked in. Look at what we get now from an American release. Most of the shows are 6 to 12 episodes on a streaming service, quick, no real good depth to character development. But for 50 episodes, if it's written good, there's no qualms. I don't see anyone complaining about how good Kiva is. You know, those are long seasons. Like, it's all about the writing and the character development and not making so many changes.
Like, I think like if they could have like again cut off a lot of fat, like I would always say like Revice is like a steak that's like pretty much 40% fat. 60%.
Well, the issue is they wasted their good content on the V Cinema stuff, on the side story stuff.
Yeah.
The Vail special shouldn't have just been the Vail special. That should have been in the show.
That could have been flashbacks in the show because each episode without opening credits and the ending and the recap were like, what, 12 minutes each? Those could have easily been 5-minute flashbacks here and there spaced out.
Yeah, but like the biggest problem is like, oh, like let's make it a super body for someone, and I never got that. It's like, oh, let's make it kind of like almost like rated R or for adults. And it's like, it's so dumb because of that they probably didn't put it in the season because like, oh, let's make it cool and adult.
I will argue that Orphanite King had better character development than Gifu, and he didn't die at the end either.
It's true, and I honestly, I don't think I'll ever be able to find a villain worse than Gifu. I might put Storios up there from Saber.
Schwartz from from Geo Schwartz.
Nah, Gifu's still worse.
Really?
Yeah, no, a villain that can't talk. That the only redeeming quality I forgot was that Aguilera slap, which I still giggle about. Even thinking about it in my head, I'm just because it was such a loud, dubbed over slap sound. It was just cartoonishly funny, especially the dramatic fall over. It was just, and it's one of the funniest moments of the whole entire season.
I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I kind of like, his design, but like, oh, Schwartz was shit. Like, I remember like not liking Schwartz. Like, to be completely honest, he was like, oh my god, like that character was.
Gifu was just Gifu was just boring.
Gifu
also
doesn't hit only slaps. Not only that, but tentacle grape.
Come on.
Thank you, Grab. Storios was pretty bad. He was angry because he couldn't create any good works of art because everything was predetermined. Stupid freaking motivation. Geef's at least like, hey, these people have my DNA. I want them to be with me while I destroy the world. Otherwise, like, dude, I just wrote this fire mixtape, but it's already been predetermined that it was going to be written. I actually didn't create it. I'm angry.
Yeah, like I agree with you about that, about stories. And but what a couple of like a final boss, to be completely honest.
Gifu, technically, I don't think Gifu counts as a final boss either, because we still had the Juga arc after.
But
Yeah,
I saw
it was
Juga
a
is way
weird
more kind of like
epilogue
a
portion of it.
cleaning up kind of. I
No, go ahead.
it was, no, it was way more kind of like a clean up kind of thing. Oh, let's kind of tie in loose ends. Like the entire like story kind of ended when they defeated like that was like the final boss. If you really like look at it broad terms, really very much, my opinion. Yeah, I'm finished.
I would also like to point out Prini Naito, also great name. I love Disgaea, and I do like Naito from New Japan Wrestling, if those are the two combinations. The Reiwa era has trouble getting good villains. They have trouble with the final villains. Because, let's face it, Deadman's Altaka, everything else, great villains, just they aren't sticking to a good culmination of a finale and a build up to like overcoming these villains. Like Saber gave us Solomon, which gave us some good memes, Rainbow Bridge and stuff like that. And then, we had Storios, which was meh. And then we had GIF, who couldn't talk. So it was like, yeah, Arc was a great villain.
Arc is honestly like something that I
but
hope they can potentially keep expanding on, especially with the Gemthauser story that we got going on. So,
yeah.
But since I didn't finish Saber, I have no idea what you guys talk about when it comes to Saber. Like, I just go deadpan, like, okay, these are things.
Yeah.
These are things and stuff.
I will say, like, I'll give you, and I'll for you, I'll make a Saber abridged.
Okay.
It'll be bad.
I bet.
Oh no,
but it'll be better than what Saber gave us. Even though I don't try. I actually like Saber. Saber is actually a really enjoyable season. I just think, yeah, the villain Reiwa is having some issues with like villains being like imposing, getting that doom and gloom. Like I never had that sense of urgency from the main writers and Revice that, oh god, they need to like, because anytime we got some serious Gifu, we had Akaishi over dramatically acting that Gifu was killing him, or he we realize his portal he comes from is his stomach, and it's like, really, like that's we're going into his stomach and his intestines. That's cool for everyone involved. Or we would get stupid stuff on the side that would distract us from, hey, Gifu could destroy the world, yet the most damage that was done to the world was from Akaishi when he started destroying like the Phoenix base and all the stuff that was protecting everyone. It's like Gifu wasn't really doing anything to show that he could destroy the world. Akaishi was.
And even then, the whole regressing everyone back to like just primordial state just so they'd be easier to manipulate. We had the whole like extraction of demons storyline and all that stuff that just like was way too trying to be modern day with some of their storytelling. I was like, wow, this is trying to go with some messaging. But for the most part, yeah, Gifu felt like a non-factor, and I think he would have been better off just staying the legend of the being as opposed to actually being revealed as a being. Like, just have him be a power source that everybody else was trying to fight after, as opposed to just being what he ended up being, because it cheapened him in the long run, especially when they pulled the whole family story arc out of everything. It's like, I get it. I know what Revice is trying to do with the whole family dynamic, but why does everyone seem to just care about family? Akaishi cares about making a fake family. Gifu's like, y'all technically my family, so give it up. And is George with his daddy issues. Like, the only one who didn't have family was well, yeah, Hikaru lost his family. Hiromi, we had to watch the Urgaga for him to lose his family.
He lost his Gaga. Guys, come on, it's so sad, boys.
Oh.
This is sad. This is less sad. No. But I don't know. I really love the idea of the entire family aspect to it, but like it wasn't handled as good as at least the beginning portion of Revice. I think something happened, and they just kind of started focusing on other stuff except family. And when they returned to family, it just like, oh, you're doing that again? Again, it really, really feels like a regression.
Yeah. Well, we still haven't talked about the most pointless thing this whole entire season: the Demon Troopers.
I honestly forgot that they were a thing.
Yeah.
Until
They
you
were,
just reminded me. I forgot all about them things.
oh, I've been waiting to talk about them because I was just like, I like the concept of the mass-produced driver, but then the fact that like they literally did nothing. 4 of them could not take out Daiji, and then when Juga was around, like they were just fodder for them to be destroyed and laying around. And then I'm like, well, are they dead? Because they're still henshined. So like, I was like, what are
Akaishi burning
worst
their
design.
corpses and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
worst suit design?
Yeah,
yeah, because they were the
ever.
Zek Troopers from Kabuto, just with new helmets,
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah, the painted over. I was just like, these aren't anything like.
The second they announced those Vice stamps, I was like, I don't want those. I don't want those anywhere
no.
near my shit. No.
I'm only getting the Gifu stamp, the Gifu actual stamp, and I'm getting the one with the blade one, and that's it. That's all I'm buying. I'm done. Done with Revice merch.
like I remember that actually.
Other than the Juga driver, the Deathstream driver.
Yeah. Start counting all the actual cool shit in the show.
The stuff that I have pre-ordered. I'm like, shit.
It's kind of weird because I remember Toei did stating that like the weekend driver was mass produced and they never did anything with it. They just like, oh, it's mass produced.
Yeah, the weekend driver's ass.
I mean,
like-
when you make a driver that looks so explicitly designed for Aguilera, how do you mass produce that? Like,
it looks like a poorly modded Nintendo GameCube.
That looks cool actually. Now I'm thinking about it, like a weekend driver GameCube would be actually kind of sweet. Like the entire like. Kind of
Gifford, yes, actually, I have my Desire driver pre-ordered through Amazon Japan because it was only $52, and it's guaranteed to have the Revice little gimmick with it.
So it's kind of weird that like they done like the mass produced stuff, but I think they should have like had the mass produced drivers kind of like maybe for where kind of Akaishi really took on the role of director, very like took on kind of the leadership role on a weekend, in my opinion. Like here's the thing. I semi kind of unironically like these troopers. Unironic. But like I don't know. Like I think like the Demon Troopers could have slightly been better.
I think it would have been better if the Demon's Troopers were from Phoenix when Akaishi took over, and those were like the evil. Like that makes perfect sense, making them the evil like troopers.
Yeah,
especially because then you got Geef Juniors and this, because they really didn't mesh well with Weekend using them against Geef Juniors, because the Hell Giftarians and the True Giftarians would just steamroll them. Like,
yeah,
but they never showed that the Phoenix soldiers were actually ever really on the side with Akaishi, because they never developed any of those grunts to begin with.
They were
even
just
at the end of the day,
around.
the Demon's Troopers all ended up being Weekend soldiers, which I'm like, how did Weekend get so many fucking soldiers?
No, it's
in that house. In that house, in George's childhood home. Yeah. How do you fit them all? That's the other cop out. That asshole right there of that being George's house. I'm still mad.
How did George never realize it?
He's been in and out. Front door. Yeah, he's been in and out so many times. How do you not realize it?
There's no second access. You have to go through the front door and into the basement. Why do they have like a cool dungeon where you could chain someone up like in the side room of his basement? We're not going to question that. Like,
wait, you don't have it in your house?
I live in California. We don't have basements.
I don't know. Like, I have it in my part.
So I keep that in the kitchen.
Plus, considering that no one was living in the upstairs portion at all, the actual living space.
Yet there's still stuff for them to move out. I don't.
Plus, didn't George technically have an office in the Weekend base when he wasn't at the Iganashis? Yes. We saw him at like Weekend base.
He had his own. He took over his dad's base while he was in the medical wing. How big was that basement? They had a medical wing. They had a research lab. They had a command center, and they had a weird Kamen Rider dungeon.
Where the funding came from? This.
Look, I always question Phoenix's funding in so many of my videos. I always mention just how they obtain this kind of funding. especially to have like a floating base in the sky that can just conveniently get, crash and, they got a new base with Ararat.
No,
Phoenix Phoenix has good funding because Akaishi obviously was buying into stock when stock was first invented. So he had so much. I mean, you're immortal. You can't be broke and immortal. Like, honestly, you've done it wrong. If you're broke, if you're immortal from like thousands and thousands of years, if in 2022 you're broke, you've done it wrong.
Wait, are we saying that Akaishi's a top G?
He's a what?
A top G.
A top G? No. Akashi's
I-
still ass. He's still ass and he pets people.
I mean, if they ever
I can't-
explained anything when it came to like his backstory properly, we ended up getting more of his backstory in the Chimera special than we ever did in the show.
Yeah. Ugh.
Wasted.
There's so many. Honestly, I kind of wish Revice Legacy became like a little thing that they were doing throughout the whole airing. Just 5-episode things constantly every other week airing, like 5 for Vail. Maybe a George and Masume 5-episode one. Then we could have got maybe a better Hikaru one with a flashback of him joining the family and them actually stalking the Igarashi family. Just keep those Revice, like Vail as a 5-episode one. We could have got other Revice Legacies and they could have added more to it if they wanted to just leave stuff out of the show when they're changing stuff on the fly. At least be like, okay, well, we got to explain this now. We just made a major change. It's like, well, what do you want to do? It's like, I don't know. We got these set pieces. Let's do another Revice Legacy. Because I also like the title, Revice Legacy. That sounds cool. That's
before they burn all these sets down for Gates.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Which they've already probably done.
Yeah.
But like,
More than likely. They'll reuse something for...
No. Okay, Graf is trolling your chat right now. He said, nah, just cut out Hikaru and maybe then it's a top tier season. That's a troll.
Nah, like here's the thing. I
We
like
didn't watch
Revice.
the same show.
I like Revice, but it's not like it's not a top tier show. Like in my opinion, it's good, but it's not like good.
It's not a top 5. It's probably not even a top 10 show for me. Now, the ending... So, I guess we can get into the ending, aka, like, let's go ahead and have Iki just go ahead and move in with Vice because he's lost all of his memories except Vice in terms of family. Which, no, there was some emotional sting when he had that clueless look. First of all, when he didn't recognize his parents. I felt that, especially, like, when Yukimi and, like, Genta start, like... Those actors can act. Like, no question about it. Good shit. And then the following episode where he just forgets his siblings. And I'm just like, damn, y'all hitting me super hard with these feels. But it's just like, it was just like a little too late for some of those moments still. That's the thing.
It happened too quick. You can't forget both parents at the same time. And then both your siblings literally the next episode, at the end of the next episode. Like, this should have been spaced out. Him not knowing his parents maybe around, like, episode 40. So it, like, drags out more of him trying to interact with them more, but not knowing who they are. Then Daiji. Then Sakura. Like, not have 2 at a time. It's not, like...
The memory loss thing was so inconsistent, because if I remember correctly, there was a point in time he forgot that he even worked at the Happy Spa. But then, he remembered, because he was still welcoming customers in the episode where he forgot his parents.
Yeah. And I'm just like...
It's like, did you guys forget your own plot point that you introduced?
That's my thing, is because it went from him not remembering memories, not them, memories, but he'll remember, like, he forgot the spa, like the hot spring trip. But it's like, okay, but how do you remember all this other stuff? You just don't remember people. Like, that's my one thing is, like, if you're going to do anything with time travel, multiverses, or memories, you have to have rules. You have to stick to them or it falls apart. And this is one of the funny thing is, like, I still, because everyone right now is saying where it ranks to the thing. For me, I would say Revice is a top 10 show. Number 10. It's not number 1. But it just because I think out of all the seasons recently, it did stick the landing with the ending. It did, like, with all the plot holes aside, I think we got a good, solid ending from it. Whereas a lot of other shows really haven't stuck the landing too good. I mean, yes, I wish there was more stuff that was done better, but it did have. It surprised me because I had low expectations for the ending after the inconsistencies the last like 6 episodes.
But whatever ending we got, that's probably going to be undone in the winter movie.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Like the Izu thing in 01. Like they revealed her, she forgot all the she like didn't have any of the memories that shit the original Izu Naruto had. In just the summer movie, winter movie, it's just like, oh, now you remember everything. I hated that. Like they done it with Izu.
Either way, like the show just has a lot of problems in the middle that is part of the reason why I just can't like think of it too highly in that sense. It's a C tier for me when it comes to like a series as a whole for this one, just because a lot of the good points were done off screen, and the good points that we had in the show, they didn't pay off well afterwards. Like we didn't get a proper like I really want a V cinema dedicated to Genta and Vail post this, just to see how that dynamic is gonna work. And that because I want Crimson Veil and Deathstream to have like a buddy cop like moment. That would probably be great. But that would be a whole different thing.
Probably not.
Just wait for the season after Geats. It's gonna be Kamen Rider Bale. He's gonna get his own show, and it's gonna be 50 episodes, and it's gonna be amazing.
The show should be 50.
But Hikaru is gonna be Bale.
Great. Oh.
He's gonna be over Veils.
Oh,
the last episode lost points for me for having Deathstream be farted out by a giant Vice ducky. That was like, look, the show has a bad problem of having like one episode writers, because that was pretty much Vail. We got Kamen Rider Vail for one episode, then he was gone in the V cinema, and then we got Deathstream. He was there for one episode. Oh wait, we're gonna bring him back just to get farted out. Y'all did my man's dirty like that.
And that's how I knew everything. We knew things were going to be staged. But that's what I knew when Genta's Deathstream. Literally, I was like, no, Vice isn't going to be able to take him. Not even no, it's fucking Vice. And then I was like, wait, you could stamp any inanimate object like a rubber duck. Like, this is news to me. These stamps
he actually did that like early on. The whole stamping of the rubber ducky. No, he stamped the rubber ducky. I think it was in the episode 0 movie. That was a thing.
Yeah, was
I don't. Yeah,
I've watched that. Yeah,
I didn't fully remember that because that was in the point where I'm like, I don't even know if I want to watch this after the whole special chapter.
Again.
Jeez, but
thanks for being on point, guys.
But yeah, there's all these extra things they were doing with the stamps, like with Kagero stamping the bat stamp on the ground, and the bats fly up to distract Juga while they get away, and I'm like,
so every Vice stamp has that ability. You can just stamp it somewhere, maybe like a T-Rex can come out the ground and roar some shit.
I was like, this whole entire time, I'm like, stamp the T-Rex. I'm very curious for scientific purposes. Do this. Like, could Sakur just stab it? A big cobra basilisk comes out, and Ekans from Pokemon comes out and uses freaking Constrict on Juga. Like, I'm curious. I want to see what would happen with these other stamps now.
But then, it's so many things that are just ass pull after ass pull that they keep doing, and it's like, at least make a almanac or something for the foundations of the powers of this show before you start doing things. Like a Bible.
I can't wait for the Revice encyclopedia to come out, because I'm gonna be like, oh, maybe this will explain some things. Because I bought a few encyclopedias in the past. I'm like, I'm gonna get the Revice one because I'm gonna be curious if anything in that encyclopedia matches what's in the show.
I wish Yukimi actually became a Kamen Rider. It would have made sense to have the entire family dynamic. That was a missed opportunity.
I would have rather her. Yukimi. She technically should have been a Kamen Rider instead of Hana. Could you imagine her going up against Bale? That would have made so much more sense.
Yeah, trying to get her mans back.
Especially after watching Revice Legacy, it would have made perfect sense to have her go after Bale. Be like, no, you tried to ruin my life once before. 20 years later, I'm stopping you again.
They could have given her the Deathstream driver, and then Genta just goes back to being Kamen Rider Vail, but without the Veil, so Veil-less. I don't know, whatever the fuck they would call it.
Yeah, Veil.
Over Veil.
Kind of like no meat.
No,
kinda
shut up. Over Veil. Get the fuck out of here with that.
No, it's beyond. It's beyond Vail. Or get to become Century.
Oh, but he
Over
needs
Century.
over.
Just
I
put
mean, that's
over
not-
in front of all the names. We're gonna put over in front of all the names.
Kamen Rider Unveiled. Yeah.
That's even see. It's a little double entendre there. I like that one. Unveiled. Actually, that could work. No,
All
no,
right.
over Aguilera. You're time out for you, Gifford.
Too much of the sauce for that one.
Too much over.
Kamen Rider
Aguilera is
over
great.
demons.
Over
Over
under
Aguilera.
demons, actually.
Over Aguilera is great.
Uh, Trash Toku, since Mark and I have kind of given our letter grade, or rather like our final thoughts on how we would rank this. How do you feel about the show as a whole? How would you rank it?
Here's the thing. I come from way more slightly. Oh, I hated Saber. I come into Revice with low expectation. Really, the first half was fucking amazing. It was really good. We all of us can state pretty much that like the first half of Revice was amazing, and it started kind of regressing slowly, and it just like I really did like it, but it's like if I could give it like a score of like a number, maybe a 7 out of 10, like yeah, 7 out of 10. It's fine. I think the first half really saves it. The Deathstream debut was amazing. It was really great. I think that the finale, the final episode, really stuck the landing. I think some of this, like the element of the show, would have been handled slightly better, but it's just like it's not as good as I thought it's going to be when the second half started. Like I thought when the show is going to end, oh, it's going to be like top 3 show. But it's like if I would put it in my ranking, maybe like in like 11, in my top 11, or like in my top 10, it's number 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, but it's like, oh gosh, the second half was very much the thing that really regressed it down more and more and more.
I can get behind that. 7.5, definitely, because it's not mid, so to speak. I think it had a lot of memorable, gave us some great moments to remember for Reiwa era, because we don't know how long the Reiwa. So this could be just phase 1 of the Reiwa era. They have some memorable moments, like Hikaru with the 4 Geno mixes.
And I mean, look, at least when it comes to like week-to-week conversations, Revice at least still kept that portion of the fan community like involved with it. We were all still speculating. We weren't constantly complaining about the show as it was going on.
So much shit talking with Saber was airing. I remember it too, because I was like, every time I would do my videos, people were like, oh, you're really positive. I'm like, well, I just take things as they are, and I only judge things based on what's presented to me. And I was like, there's some glints and some hope. I mean, there's some bad there, but I don't like to be negative all the time. But then you go on Twitter and it's just like, damn, you would think this was like the worst show ever made.
Weird. Like my Twitter is all like people that absolutely love Saber. Like my entire Twitter thread is like, oh my god, Saber is amazing. Revice is so shit. And I'm like,
I mean,
like this is.
I'm so glad I
Twitter.
didn't exist in social media when Saber was airing.
I'm so glad I didn't exist when at social media when like Heisei Phase 1 was. Can you imagine Heisei Phase 1 if like Twitter was a thing?
If Twitter was a
YouTube?
thing, yeah, I was in different forums back then.
Oh yeah, no, I was in like forums, but like, can you imagine just like social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube being big, like it is now for Heisei Phase 1? The bad takes would be all over the place. People like, he's a vampire, and the show takes place in 2006, and also in 1980s. Just makes us like, it's Kiva, bitch. Shut up and watch it. Like, enjoy.
I mean, the internet was dick riding Tendo during
Exactly,
Kabuto, so.
Yeah.
But we all loved Tendo back then. And also, Agito was treated as the gospel warrior. If you look at social media nowadays, everyone shits on Agito. And I'm personally offended by that. But
I know, and everyone likes Gaim.
What's the problem? What's your problem with that? Let's open.
You don't have enough time. No, you don't have enough time for this.
no, we don't.
Sorry.
That may be another live stream some other time, maybe.
I just have to test the bait every once in a while. Like when you're trolling, like and you're fishing at the 1 mile per hour, and you just throw some chum in the water. You throw the bait, see if you can get it. That's what I do with the Gaim comments. Just I'll say them about build too and X8, and they're just always what's up. What could I get on the line today with this Gaim sentence?
Build like was actually like good until like the final arc when they Evolt is an alien.
We don't talk about build because my current Kamen project is I want perfect mint condition Pandora's box with all the bottles. That's my current thing I'm working on, so I don't want to talk about build right now.
It's a lot of time and money sink. Luckily, the Korean reissues make things cheaper right now.
I want the original releases in boxes.
Oh my god!
It's literally the same.
I have to flex the collection. When I collect, I have to. It's because to hurt.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, chat. Just give us your score rating. We're wrapping up the stream now. We've been going on for 2 hours and 17 minutes now. Jesus.
So Dark Prince Sora gives it a 7.5 out of 10, which is similar to me in Trash Toku. Gifford is 8.7 out of 10.
Damn.
Shitical first half says first half is 8.8 out of 10. Second half is 4.7 out of 10.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah. John Zamas 8 out of 10. Ness X64 8 out of 10. Dragostorm A or about a 7 to 8 out of 10. Recon Gamers 6 to 7 out of 10. Taiga Sumeragi 7 out of. So basically, a lot of people like.
Yeah, it's
7s to 8s.
It's average for the most part.
I mean, above average, yeah. Joda 6 out of 10. Steampunk 7.9 out of 10. Craig K 7. We got Lucas was 7. Gomamon, which is a great name. Love Digimon 6 out of 10.
6.9. Nice.
So, yeah, nice. So yeah, though it seems
6.9. Too much Gifu.
Yeah, too much Gifussy.
No, wait, it's Gifussy or Gifussy?
I say Gifussy. I want to say. No, I mean it was a solid season. Like I mean, and this was like the first real like I don't want to say post pandemic because I know how people feel about when you word things a certain way, but full almost back to 100% regular production value show. So
I would say my biggest complaint about this series has nothing to do about the series. It has to be with Bandai handling the toys.
Oh God, we don't.
I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. But
that's a one out of premium Bandai 1 out of 10.
Fucking P Bandai ruined this whole fucking series.
Blame Saber for that because they saw people buying the stuff, and I'm part to blame. They got my money. Premium Bandai, they tested it with Saber with putting more stuff. Now to the point where Converge Motion, Ultraman, and Kamen stuff is on Premium Bandai. Noto Candy Toys, the Ryuki the actual monster stuff were Premium Bandai. My candy toys are now Premium Bandai. I'm like, no, I want regular. I don't want everything's Premium Bandai. I'm waiting today. There's no regular Bandai. It's just, oh, you want to do gimmick? Premium Bandai.
It's like, what are shops to begin with? Because it doesn't exist. How do you make a show with so many writers, but then only two belts are essentially retail? Everything else, P Bandai.
Yeah. And their dices are expensive. I got 8 dices, and those things are like freaking expensive. Like, make it easier accessible for me to display these belts. Damn it. I mean, that's why you don't have dices, and they look good. I can't drill in the walls.
See, that's the wonders of owning your house. But yeah. I mean, if you look back at my first videos, I was watching some older ones.
Yeah. No, if you watch my first videos, I had literally this stand right here, and that's it. And then like through all the evolution of different shows, it's like one more bookshelf, and I'm like, damn.
It's only been not even a year, and I've expanded so much in terms of my collection. That's
been a year and a half, 18 months for me, and I'm just like, man. Now I got the manga shelf. I'm like, damn it. People are gonna know I read waifu
Meanwhile,
manga.
Trash Toku has no collection to showcase off since he doesn't get on camera.
I don't have a collection. Legitimately, I don't buy that stuff because it's stupidly expensive, and I'm actually responsible for it. But when the Overdemons SH figure arts is going to be released, I'm going to buy it. Going to show it off. Going to be my logo. Cool Savager. Overdemons to the top.
Mine's still.
Yeah. Oh, Gifford in the chat was like, I smell Demon's Driver. I'm like, yes, right here with my artisan master grade double that I built, which was a pain in the ass.
Gifford out here staying the Nago simp that he is. Damn.
Right.
All right. Okay, so any last words before we go ahead and end this stream?
I'm curious if we're going to say the same things for Geats that we did for Revice. We're like, first half great, then second half fell off, because that's... Now we're really going to a full production valued season and new team, good writing team on this one. So I'm really curious.
The entire thing, I'm cautiously optimistic for Gates, and part of the reason why, the more that I see of it, and the more that you see in general, it's like this is a show that is made on a shoestring budget, but the production values mask that. But if you look at everything else regarding it, like it just looks very cheaply like produced in terms of how easily they can throw in a new writer into the mix. Just change the helmet. That's it. Everyone using the same driver. Just change the gimmicks. And no, the desired driver is probably going to be 9 times out of 10 one of those drivers that I buy and probably not buy the gimmicks unless I actually think it's cool. Because those standalone buckles just, I don't know. They didn't showcase off anything that I could like slot them into or something to showcase them off. They're just going to be like plastic on the shelf and not even look good.
Don't even buy the DX ones. They're releasing candy toy ones for $3 each, and they're gonna be fully functioning with the belt.
Oh my god!
I did a candy toy blog post about it. They announced the first wave, and it's literally the little weapon upgrades gimmicks. They work with the driver 100%, and they're 390 yen each. So no need. Save your money.
Yeah, do the right thing. Save your money, kids. Don't buy toys. Don't be like those two.
I want a Gates loot box.
Look, I've been collecting writer stuff since Kiva, so since 2008, I've been collecting this stuff. So this is not like an overnight collection. This is years of work and years of money. So, and that's not even talking about my Gundam collection and shit that's on the other side of the room that people don't see.
Yeah, we don't. This is the stuff I feel comfortable opening out of the box.
Like because I'm like the type of guy that's like, oh, I would not open it out of the box. So I'm like, why do I need to buy it? I don't need to. Like I would have bought the Demon's Drive. I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to play with it. It's just going. The box is going to stay. So it's like for me, it's like, don't care.
Graf is saying, so you're saying get all the drive stuff. I got you. Hey.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, Trash Toku, any last thoughts?
Well, I hope. First of all, I hope because of the main writer being the same person that hand wrote both X8 and 01, I hope it's going to be leaning more towards the good of X8 than the bad of 01. I hope that we're going to get like less kind of focus with everyone. Have people be kind of background character and have kind of ace, Kamen Rider Kids, be very much the main protagonist. Have him get an actual arc, have him get actual character development. I hope like we're going to like when next Rider.
Y'all not eating that second chip. Y'all can go fuck yourselves.
I was laughing. I saw that. I started laughing. I was like,
nah, I was in tears.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope that like the 5th season of the Revice, we're going to maybe do this stream again about Gates. We're going to sit down and say how fucking great Gates are.
Hey, look, if community outpouring is good for this format that we're doing, because I really feel that this format that we're doing right now is literally the radio of the new generation, especially with way more interaction. And it's a format that I'm personally a big fan of, and there's some other content creators that do this for other subjects not relating to Tokyo at all, but I just
Yeah.
love interacting with that stuff and listening to it. And I'm like, Tokyo should have something like that, but I don't know. Like, we're testing the grounds. We're trying to see if this could potentially end up growing into something bigger or not, but that just depends on how community outpouring ends up being when it comes to all this stuff. But it's not something that I would be adverse to. Obviously, open-minded towards it. Already talked to Mark about it previously.
Second ship at 100,000 subs.
Hey,
It's
look,
like, dude,
if y'all
for
get me to
1,000.
that, I will just instantly. No,
Dude,
actually, no. Just 10K. Just 10K. Let's set the bar low.
I'll eat 2 at once for 1.5. Okay. Like,
I mean, I'm
dip
only
them
like
in Carolina Reaper salsa too.
I'm pretty close to 2.5 in general. I just need like 100, 200 more, just something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but they had like, I would die with those ships. No, but then Gifford, no, you can't have my deep driver. Sorry, I can send you a photo of the box. I'll sign a 8x10 of the box.
6.9K. Let me eat that second chip for you. Oh, you want it?
Yeah. Also, just to close the conversation on Revice, a lot of people didn't want to watch this show and still are on social media saying the show was bad or this and that without watching it because of the personal opinions of Vice's voice actor. I did a video on this. There's a lot of things in play there, and if you want to punish the other actors, the production team, everything else by not watching it, that's on you. But don't say something is bad because of that if you have not watched it. Way too many people are pushing that narrative because now people are going back and putting other actors of previous seasons on the microscope. I'm not going to explain Japanese culture and the kind of isolated culture that they are in compared to foreigners of all races and walks of life. That's, not for me to preach about, but Revice was a decent season. And everyone should give it a chance at least. I mean
yeah, and even then, like, fault the guy, whatever, but he did do a good job voicing Vice.
Oh, he did a really good job.
Like, I felt the emotion in some of the scenes, and some of his points were actually very hilarious. Like, he can...
Vice, as a character, was a good character. Also,
one of the best ones in the show.
Revice is still better than Gaim, so I mean, come on now.
But yeah, I like to add to that point what you said. Like, I'm Jewish and I love Mad Max. I love Braveheart. So I can watch Mel Gibson movies and still enjoy them as movies and not oh, this guy said that shit about like an anti-Semitic.
Disconnect the content from the creator if you have to. Just appreciate the content.
A lot of people forgot about that graph, and then people on Twitter, they won't let you forget it.
Yeah, like it's not because if me as a Jewish man I can watch like Mel Gibson films, you can go and watch like Revice. At least try to. I don't know. This is kind of like
I'm Native American. That means I can't watch any white people freaking movies.
Yeah. So it's
colonizers.
Yeah, it's
Veroni out here trying to give me an asthma attack out here. 10K subs and you snort the blue powder from him. Damn.
Oh,
damn. A doctor, and I know that's not a good idea.
Do it at a million.
Nah. Y'all over here asking for like heaven and earth to get moved.
I'll do it at 2. Just 2 subs. Just 2 subs, not 2.
Yeah, let's at least just get Mark up to 1K for once. He's been putting in the work.
Dude, it's getting there. Like, I've been shocked because I set goals every year. So my goal this year was like 750 by the end of the year. Because I set like realistics. I have a day job and everything else. So like, I don't have the time frame to really. But I was like, oh man, people keep subscribing. And I was like, you guys could like stop at some point to kind of like motivate me to not make more videos. Like, it's like I'm trying to.
It's what keeps me motivated going because I never anticipated growing this big, this fast. But another thing is like me putting in the work by myself. But another thing is also acknowledging y'all that are out here doing the same grind as I am, and not getting proper recognition. So hey,
no, I'm blacklisted in a few places. It happens.
So hey,
I'm an Ultraman content creator. We don't get any love.
Oh no! Hey, listen. the second I can figure out how to make proper Ultraman content, I'm going to, because anytime I do outside of a ranking video, it's like 5 views. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of Ultraman content creators because it's
Like-
all video essays.
Like I cover Decker week by week. Like I'm one of the only people that do that actually. Like I fucking love Decker is. I already like Dynas. Dyna Decker for me. It's really good.
Ultraman's the toughest Toku to cover, honestly. Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, we get weekly
Let's
episodes
wait
for like 40.
Another Den-O
Yeah.
movie. Do y'all hate me?
Wait,
Like,
what happened?
no, they said, let's wait for another Den-O movie. I'm like, no. I'm
Oh,
done.
really, guys?
I'm
No more Dano movies.
done.
No, we need at least 10
All right,
more.
shut
guys.
the
If you
whole
want to see
production
like
down.
a stream of just a rage fest inducing thing, yeah. On that note, yeah, we'll end it on that. We'll end it
Shut
at
everything
Den-O.
down. Shut this
So,
down. Let's
Saraba, everybody.
no
Bye.
plug on